Alright, hi everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben, here with God Mason, and this is
Hello.
episode number 14 of the Pirate CSG podcast, and right now we have the next set review, which is Davy Jones' Curse. This was the 6th set release. It came out in 2006, and it's quite an interesting set, as you'll see here, and as you probably already know. And without further ado, I'll ask you, God Mason, what you think of the set overall.
I was really excited when it came out, if I'll be honest with you, because I was on, as I've mentioned, I was sort of on my Age of Sail and Piracy Obsession binge when it came out, and I was especially getting into sort of supernatural kind of stuff at the time. So the sea monsters were a welcome addition to me, but it took me years to realize that most of the set is actually pretty bad.
Yeah, I have kind of the opposite thing. Sort of similar, but also opposite. So, I was also really into the Age of Sail stuff, but I was not into the fantastical side. I was already getting into more of the Royal Navy stuff and kind of the more realistic, like, pirate side of things. And I had gotten into the game with Spanish Main, so this set was kind of a shock. I didn't really like it that much, or at least the concepts when it came out. I didn't actually have any sea monsters in my original collection. Um, but actually, my view of the set has actually improved over time. I understand the fantasy did bring some people into the game, and it wasn't all negative. It wasn't like a really bad thing for the game necessarily. You can definitely say that it was kind of like the beginning of the end, because not only was the fantasy, they doubled down on that big time, but also the reverse power creep started with this set pretty much, as we'll see with the game pieces.
Yeah,
yeah,
this was like a.
Yeah, you go.
All right. This was sort of like a mid-game history doldrums, because this and the next like 2 or 3 sets were all actually not very well liked in the long run by the fan base that still exists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it got kind of random and weird. They kind of veered off from what they had been doing for the first 5 sets. I still consider this set part of the first 6. I think the next set and the sets after, really, the second half and the first half are distinctly different. I still would consider this one of the more decent sets, not as good as the first 3 or South China Seas, but it's kind of interesting. And like I said, my view has actually improved a bit over time. I've kind of gotten to like some of the fantastical stuff a little bit. I'm still not a huge fan of it, and bringing it into the game still seems like somewhat of a mistake by those kids, to me at least. But it's fine. I kind of like the set nowadays. So, and it has some cool stuff in it that I like to use. So yeah, I guess without further ado, we could get into the pieces. So the first one is the Flying Dutchman. Curse. So we're doing the curse first, just going in numerical order as usual. So this one, 17 points, 4 cargo, S move. All 5 cannons are 2L, and then it's got broadside attack built in. This is a ship that's it's a pretty solid cursed gunship, because the cursed aren't a super strong faction. And this is their first ship outside of the super rare pack from South China Seas. So this is the first time we've really gotten into the cursed heavily on the podcast, at least for WizKids pieces. It's a good gunship. The speed is the biggest problem. Broadside attack is okay, but I don't really like rolling 1 die to represent all 5 cannons. And also, it shortens the range to S. So the keyword is okay. It's kind of awe-inspiring, but not actually that great. So it's a good gunship for the cursed, and one of their few 5 masters. So it's kind of important because it's a good capital ship for them, especially in bigger games. But overall, it still doesn't really shine as much as it should have. I think the speed could have been higher and just keep the cost the same. It's a little underwhelming.
I mean, while the cargo hold is, good and the armament is excellent, I think you've pointed out many times the flaws with the broadside's attack keyword.
Yeah.
And in addition, aside from the terrible move, I don't think Davy Jones is the most fitting linked crew. We'll talk about his ability later for anyone who's not familiar with this version of Davy Jones. He's very powerful, but I would not put him on this ship ever, I think.
Yeah, I like using him on the 10 Masters, and I would actually put the OE version of Davy Jones on the ship, not the copier, but yeah.
Do those links apply across sets like that?
Yeah, as long as they're the same character, it basically applies. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never actually knew that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really useful with Montana Maze on the Concordia, to be honest. That's
oh, yeah. Yeah. As well as maybe USS Layman, but whatever.
Exactly.
All right. Oclock Thoth, or Clock Thoth, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is the first sea monster on the list. This is actually one of the ones I rate more highly. It's 19 points. It's even more expensive than the Flying Dutchman. It has 5 cargo, SS move, a pair of 2L guns, or I guess tentacles, on the left and right sides, and in the middle are a triple set of 3S. And its abilities, this sea monster gets +1 to its boarding rolls. If it succeeds at a boarding party, it also eliminates a mast. I really like that ability on sea monsters, which seem to have a more boarding focused or slightly more boarding focused purpose. It's capable of running treasure with its with the fact that it can submerge and it has a great hold size. Obviously, it's held back by the fact that it's a sea monster, which is not actually all that good a unit type.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. The cost is pretty steep for what you're getting. I wish the cannons were all ranked 2, for example. The ability is decent because it does tie into the boarding focus, but I don't see myself catching many gold runners at SS to get gold at all. So the cargo is kind of wasted for the most part. This isn't one I really prefer using and one I haven't really used much at all. The next 2 I have used a little bit more, and I do like those more. So I'll continue to Calypsos. This one, another 5-segment squid, 15 points, 5 cargo, L move. All the cannons are 2S, and then if the sea monster succeeds at a boarding party, you may choose 2 crew, 2 treasure, or 1 crew and 1 treasure instead of only 1 crew or treasure. So a little wordy ability, but it's basically another boarding bonus, which works well. I like how this one's relatively cheap, I guess, for the firepower you get. The speed is kind of tough to deal with. You almost need like a navigator or some kind of +L booster, which I like using quite a lot when I'm playing as the cursed, actually. But this one I like. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Extra actions. This one I like the cannons, the tentacles. It's kind of a brutal sea monster, even though it's pretty slow. So still not a really great threat, honestly.
Yeah, it's reasonably priced, but it still suffers from the problem that it's kind of a disposable unit because sea monsters can't repair under normal circumstances, and it's hard to justify using a slow, well-armed anything as something that you just kind of throw out there and almost waste.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's among the better, but it's still not something you'd use over really many ships at this point cost.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
All right. After Calypsos is Kalim or Kalim. I'm not really sure again.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of them on here where we'll be like,
Yeah.
All right. Again, a squid. This one, like the others, has 5 cargo, but this one has 3S move. It has 2S and then 3 4S tentacles. If this sea monster succeeds at a boarding party, it also eliminates a mast. So it's faster, and so it's probably going to be the most useful among the last few we've looked at.
Yeah.
But it's also not especially well armed.
Yeah. Yeah, this one I like just because the speed, you don't really need to increase it, which is really difficult because they can't carry helmsmen. And this one, this one has been described as one of the better sea creatures in the game, and I don't really dispute that too much. It's not great. You're still not, sea creatures aren't very good in general, so you're still not getting a great return for your points. Not a great value, but outside of like the dragons and titans and then like behemoth and mistwalker, this one is probably one of the better sea creatures outside of like the core best ones. The speed is by far the biggest asset, and other than that, it's not really that great. But the speed just sets it above pretty much all the other sea creatures in these first 8 that we're seeing here. All the rares from DJC are all slower. So the next one, Slug Gubbit, another funny name. This one, this is the last 5-segment squid of the rares here for the curse. 16 points, 5 cargo, SS move. The cannons are 4 of them are 3S, and then 1 of them is 4S. It's also got fear built in along with the sea monster keyword. This one just doesn't strike me as anything special. I don't know, it just doesn't stand out at all. It doesn't really have anything going for it specifically, other than maybe submerged fear, but that's not really a good tactic in most games. So
yeah, and you can probably get that on say the locker, the cursed submarine, and you can utilize ramming while you do that. Whereas I don't think you can do that with this.
No.
Slug Gubbit, funny enough, I think this was possibly in my very first DJC pack pull.
Nice.
Well, not really, because it's not a great unit. But,
oh yeah.
but when I pulled it, I think I was with my dad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, I got a sea creature. And then he looks at me and goes, Slug Gubbit, like cursing, because it sounds like something would be a dirty word. But
yeah, it sounds bad.
I mean, it almost is a dirty word in, I guess, in this game, because it's, as I said, not all that great. Fear is overpriced. It's not very fast. It's not very powerful. Yeah, it's just of limited utility and kind of any game.
Yeah, the name sounds like lazy or something, like lazy trash or something. That's what it sounds like to me. It's stupid.
In which language? Dutch or something? Or
I don't know. No, it like Slug Gubbit. It just sounds like trashy and lazy and silly.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Like sludge or something.
Yeah. All right. Now we're done with the squid. We're getting into the sea serpents now. The first of which is Leviathan. So at 15 points, 4 cargo, L move, all 2 rank segments, S except for 1 L at the very end. It says you may give this sea monster a shoot action to make 1 L range rank 3 breath attack against the target ship. It may make no other attacks. If it hits, do not eliminate a mast. Instead, the target and its crew cannot use their abilities on the target's next turn. So it's basically a stink pot snake, which is kind of funny. I guess it's reasonably well armed, but I'm not sure that the lack of a captain on it means that you'll be able to use it all that often. The thing with sea monsters is because they can't have captains on board without the use of a unique treasure that we'll probably talk about later.
Yep.
They're kind of resigned to being sort of supporting warships always.
Yeah, this one doesn't strike me as anything special. Kind of like with Calypsos, the ranks are good, rank 2, but nothing else is really that great. I was just talking about this one in one of the forum threads, and how I usually like stinkpot stuff in general, but here you've got a 15-point monster that's using it at rank 3, which is a worse rank than the existing, cannons or tentacles, whatever, and you can't shoot can't shoot normally at the same time. I think it'd be a better ability if it could make other attacks. I don't really see why they thought that was, overpowered or something. Like, it's just, it totally cripples it. I mean, the ability is basically pretty bad. So it's almost like it has no extra ability in a way, in which case it's just overpriced as usual. So pretty lame. The next one, Tiamat. This one is arguably worse. 16 points, 4 cargo, SS move, so a little faster. Cannons are 3S, 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 and then a 2L at the back. The tail is a 2L. And then this one has the same ability, except it does a fire mast hit instead of a stink hit, basically. So, but once again, same thing applies with that ability. I just wouldn't use it when I can shoot 3 or 4, cannons that are in range versus 1. Maybe it's a little bit more unique because it's like a fire-breathing serpent, but and the speed is a little better, but you're paying more for it, and the cannons are worse, so it's still not a good deal. And also, just kind of, I think it's just forgettable. It doesn't stand out at all.
Yeah, this isn't. I mean, I would almost contend that this one is better than the last. Yes, it does have less accurate guns for the most part, and it's more expensive, but it does move faster, and its ability, I would say, is probably better, even if just marginally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, plus, I mean, I think you have said that Firepot specialists can prove themselves pretty powerful in some games.
Yeah, they're pretty good overall. I don't think they're quite as crazy good as a lot of people think, but but yeah, they're decent though. They're good.
The next one is Yeoman Gonder, which is even more expensive than any of the others we've looked at so far. It's 17 points. The move is back down to L. All of these have 4 cargo so far, this one included. It goes 2S, 3S, 3S, 4L, and it says if this sea monster succeeds at a boarding party, it also eliminates a mast. I don't see why you'd use this over some of the squid we've looked at that basically have that same ability, or a better one, at about this cost, and they're sometimes faster.
Yep, I agree completely. I would say you could make a pretty good case that this might be the worst of the sea creatures in this set.
Yeah.
It's close, but I think it might be the worst. I think I've just used it only in campaign games, and that's really only because there's no reason not to, because you have so many points to spend, so it just kind of gets thrown out there as as part of like a sea creature squadron, as like a numbers unit rather than something to build around. There's nothing cool about it, really. I don't like it at all. I'll go to the next one, though. I do like this one. Tsuro, however you pronounce it. This is the last of the creatures of the rares here. So finally getting to ships soon, which is good. It's pretty negative so far, but I guess it's not too surprising. So this one's 16 points, 4 cargo, L move. Cannon's 2L, and then the rest are 3S, the other 3. The key is the ability, which I find pretty useful. Give the sea monster move action, but do not move it. Instead, roll a d6, and a result of 5 or 6, move an enemy ship L in any direction. So Xerix and I use these a bunch in campaign games as L movers, we usually call them. The crew are better because you can put a reroller, or you can put them on a rerolling ship like the Fiddler's Green or something to increase the odds, but this isn't a very good piece for games under, even under like 80 points. It's not a great choice. But in bigger games, it's kind of a favorite because you can just keep it submerged and keep that ability safe, and then toss enemy ships under reefs or into fog banks, or just move them backwards to delay their advance and things like that. So it's a pretty good ability in big games, which of course are my forte, or my favorite in general. So, but other than that, it doesn't really stand out much.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of ways to get this ability for cheaper. For that reason, I just kind of have trouble justifying it at all.
Yeah.
Here, I just stumbled across technical difficulty. My computer screen has just gone dark, so we'll probably have to. I'm probably gonna have to troubleshoot this. I hope I don't have to reboot or anything, but there's a chance we might have to do an audio cut or something.
Yeah, that's alright.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the brightness adjustment's doing anything. This is really strange. I'm gonna try closing the screen and reopening it and all that.
Yep.
Worst case, I'll try a reboot, but I hope this isn't anything ultra serious or anything.
Yep. All right, we're back.
All right, after a little bit of technical difficulty, I'm ready to talk about Executioner. Executioner is a 4-masted ship that costs 17 points. At 4 cargo space and SL move, it's a pretty good start. It has all 3 rank guns. 2 of them are L range, 2 of them are S range. It has the fear keyword, and if it has a captain crew, gets +1 to cannon rolls. Has a link to El Phantasma. I think this is not actually all that great. Even before you look at ships from later sets, because, it may as well have all 2 rank guns, but even if it had base ranks of 2, that's still not very good for a ship of this cost.
Okay, yeah, fair point. I guess, the fear drives up the cost unnecessarily. Yeah. It's definitely one of the better gunships that Curse have, though, especially if you can afford it. I like the link to Phantasma is good too, because you can link any version can link, like the Sat Captain version or maybe the Rise of the Fiends version. I like this ship a lot because it's a rare cursed gunship that's large, well armed, and fast. They don't have many gunships that are quick, so this one's pretty important for them. The captain bonus is pretty useful. It's pretty great. It makes it more of a gunship than a hybrid, but the speed alone is really good. You could put it just a captain on there. I would usually do captain, helmsman, oarsman at a minimum, and it's a pretty good ship for named crew too, especially with that link, because he's arguably their best in terms of quantity and quality combined, maybe their best named crew. And there's a bunch of good versions of him. So yeah, it's quite a good gunship for them. Still wasting points on fear, but that's pretty much the case with anything with fear, as we'll see. So the next one, Hellfire. This one's also a 4-masted square rig ship. 12 points, only 2 cargo. L move. The cannons are 3L, 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 4L. Then it has the World Hater ability. This ship gets +1 hurricane rolls against any non-cursed ship. So this one's super basic, nothing special, just a gunship, just captain, helmsman, maybe an oarsman, and then you've got guns firing mostly at 2L for about 17 points. Not going to get any gold with this thing, but it's just a plain old warship.
I think it's not terrible as plain warships go, considering it basically has 3 2L guns and then a 3L at 12 points. Although, you know, when you look at its competition from previous sets, of course, like there's ships like HMS Oxford out there for the same cost, which is faster, has more accurate guns, and more cargo space. It starts not to look as good, but I think it's pretty decent as far as cursed options go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe named captain of some kind, plus a helmsman, and as you said, an oarsman. But as a whole, in the context of other nations, not all that special.
Yeah, I like to compare most of them against the curse, because they're so far removed from like the big 4 factions that they really can't compete for the most part. In small games and even in big games too. So that's why I usually like to compare some of their ships against their own stuff, because they totally pale in comparison to the others usually.
Yeah, and speaking as a whole about the cursed, I'm going to go off on a tiny tangent. I think they should have never been introduced, because the pirates already had the supernatural market cornered from the get-go with Spanish Main, because there was Ghost Crew and El Fantasma.
Yeah.
The curse should have never been added. It should have just been pirates.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. It's a good point. It would be interesting to see how the game did if they didn't add the cursed. Probably would have done better, but who knows. What I do like about the curse thematically is they give the game kind of like a crazy like Hellraiser nation that's not, you know, focused on gold. I kind of like having one of the larger factions just be totally chaotic and gimmicky and pretty wacky overall, and just like hellbent on killing. So it's pretty weird and out there, but I think they fill that niche a little bit better than the pirates could on their own. So I kind of like the addition. I don't like the supernatural stuff, but thematically the curse do bring some interesting flavor. Although, I mean, it's hard to like them if they were one of the bigger reasons the game declined, which it certainly seems like. Oh, and then, you're next, sorry.
Yeah, well, just add on what you said, I would agree that I do like the idea of a faction that does a lot of weird gimmicky stuff.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they just weren't all that well executed.
Yeah, they're mostly kind of like a wacky faction that's not going to win much, so kind of a fun one, but not very
trying to be cool, but not so much succeeding. Like me in middle school. Anyway, the next ship is Widda, which is a 4-masted schooner at 12 points. Only has 3 cargo space and a base move of S. The guns are 4S, 2S, 2S, 4S, but it, like I think it was Executioner, it has a captain, gets +1 to cannon rolls, which basically makes it 3S, 1S, 1S, 3S, which is really weird.
Yeah, it is a weird arrangement, yeah.
But because of its speed and the fact that the guns on the end aren't very good, this is a pretty poor way to spend 12 points.
Yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for this one. Like I said, I compare most of the stuff in the curse against their own faction. It's kind of like a slower like dreadnought schooner, which is a weird way to put it, but you know, the cannons are, especially with the bonus, that's the best thing the ship has going for it. It's kind of good as like a numbers ship in a larger game. In a 40-point game, it'll be outrun pretty much every time. So it's not great, but it's a solid pure firepower option for them. Kind of like the Hellfire, but I don't know, slightly, well, not really, about the same firepower are similar but slower, so not great. I don't mind it. It's kind of a nice ship a little bit for the cursed. The next one, the Dark Pact. This one is kind of cool for them. It's a 4-masted schooner, 13 points, 6 cargo, S move once again. Cannons are 4S, 4L, 4L, 4S, so pretty bad. And then this ship's crew cannot be eliminated unless she sinks, which is a nice ability, especially on a gunship, but it's a good ability in general. It's not really a waste of points. I like the cargo. That's the best thing this ship has going for it. It's kind of a funky little, I don't know, not little, but it's kind of a weird treasure runner for the cursed. It's not fast, but it's got the cargo. So with a helmsman and maybe an oarsman, you could get gold with it. That's what I've usually done. Derek's actually wrote a very good review about this, detailing how the ship's ability can be used to make a lot of crazy crew setups, and pretty interesting ones too. You could go the hybrid route, but then you'd need some speed boosters or extra action. So, kind of like the Wida, it fills a niche for the curse, like a slow, purpose-built gold runner. But it's not a great ship. But this is another one I kind of like within its own faction.
Yeah, in the context of the curse, it's one of their better gold runner options, especially in this set. But that terrible, terrible base move makes it. I mean, I would kind of skew more towards a sort of helmsman explorer thing instead of helmsman oarsman from personally, because this ship needs all the help it can get when it comes to running gold. Its durability alone is probably going to be enough to scare off some attackers, especially smaller ones, but I'm struggling to say any more about it because I would make a Dark Pact with anything to have made that ship a little bit better. Speaking of a little bit better, especially when it comes to gold runners, we've got Sea Monkey. Now 13 points, 4 cargo, SL move, and then 3S, 3L, 3S. Her ability is, after this ship resolves a shoot action, she may move as a free action. I think this is an empty gold runner that can defend itself decently well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the uses,
Pricey.
Yeah. I usually like using it as a hybrid, actually. I like doing a captain and maybe nothing else, or just some kind of generic crew combo, like captain and helmsman, or maybe captain and explorer. But like you said, it's good. The reverse captain works well with a gold runner, like the Cheshire from SCS. I think this is one of their few good hybrids, though, and it's not too far off from the Grinder, which is definitely a better ship and their best ship overall. But between the cannons, the speed, and the reverse captain, it can fight a bit too. So probably better for getting gold just because they lack gold options so severely. But one of the few ships that stands out as a cursed hybrid to me. So one of their better ships actually overall. So the next one
says a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, Spilled Salt. This is another 3-masted square rigger. 14 points, 3 cargo, SS move. All 3 cannons are 3S, so pretty mediocre average. It has Fear and +1 to boarding rolls. Those are 2 abilities I don't really like. They're both overpriced, especially Fear. This one just doesn't stand out to me. It's not going to be great at anything. It's just kind of meh overall.
It's a dead average ship. I mean, all those stats, that hold space, that move, and that armament, those are exactly average. And it has an overpriced ability, and one that I kind of like, but I don't think is all that fitting on this ship. This is probably like, an 8-point ship with some abilities that are way too expensive on it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Banshees Wail is next. Now this is so we're getting even more expensive now. This is a 17.3 masted ship with only 2 cargo space, SS move, 4S, 2S, 4S guns, and even though you're probably expecting this to be a ship that has like +1 to cannon rolls for ships with an S of her, nope, it's a ghost ship for some reason. This ship ignores the first hit she takes each turn as long as she hits all her masts, for some reason. And I own a link to Screaming Mimi. So it's I guess supposed to be a warship, but she's crazy expensive, not well armed. You don't have much space that you can use to put an interesting crew on her.
Yep.
Why? This is just the most hodgepodge set of abilities.
Yeah, it's a very random ship, very strange and weird. It reminds me of Le Loup Garou from the Barbary Corsair set, another weird 17-point three-masted ghost ship. This one, I don't know, it's not good at anything. You can't get gold, that's pretty much out of the question. So you have to put a Captain Helmsman aboard, but then you're paying 22 points for, bad armament. So, and I have used this one a few times in those huge games, and she has not done well. She doesn't really hit often at all, and she's just kind of an afterthought. So there's, even in big games, you can afford her better, but she still doesn't work well at all. So kind of a waste of a ship, really. It's kind of funny, at least, as like a novelty, like bizarre piece, but it's definitely not useful at all. So, oh well. The next one's a lot better, though. Fiddler's Green. I like this one. Three-masted schooner, 11 points for cargo, SS move. Cannons are 4L, 3L, 4L. And then schooner, once per turn, you may reroll any die roll. Well, you must roll a second die roll result, so it's got the reroll ability. This is one of the few sources of cursed reroll, maybe like the only one just about, for their actual ships or crew, or something close to that, I think. So I like to put one of their out-moving crew aboard this ship, or something like that. But I could get into more other combos with reroll. But anyway, overall, statistically, it's not too bad of a ship. It's not really standing out as a gunship or a gold runner. I would tend to use it as a gold runner a little bit more. It's really just decent as the SS move in 4 cargo for 11 points is decent for the cursed, and it's a valuable source of reroll for them. So that's pretty much this ship's biggest strength.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all that terrible. It's, it's a three-masted schooner at 11 points, which is not outrageous. It has good cargo space, an average move, but really, I guess a pretty flexible ability, but the real problem is the subpar armament. If this had all 3L rank guns, this would be one of the cursed best ships. Yeah. But, it just barely misses out on being, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can at least give it the compliment that it's got pretty good art.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
All right, Hangman's Joke is the next one, and this is actually one of my favorites because I really like this gimmick. So, to start off, it's an 11-point ship, and it's only 2 masts. It does at least get 4 cargo, which is pretty good. It has a pair of 2S guns, that's pretty good. L move isn't amazing, but the ability is what makes the ship interesting. It's a fog hopper, because it says if this ship ends her turn in a fog bank, on her next turn, she may use her move action to move out of any other fog bank in play. I've built a couple fleets around this type of ship and this ability. I like it. I haven't tested it yet. I really want to give it a try, but there is some stuff that I'm not so certain about. For example, I'm not sure if it's allowed to just leave a fog bank in whichever direction it chooses, or if it has to roll.
Yeah, it still has to roll when it comes out.
Ooh. Yeah. Then I guess what I would do for this ship is kind of use her as a hybrid. I would maybe do a named captain and a helmsman, or Captain Helmsman shipwright, because she's on the small side and you can't really afford to lose her.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like her as like a kind of a hybrid with a gimmick twist. I like Captain Helmsman, maybe Oarsman as well. I like Fog Hoppers too. It's a cool gimmick for the curse, one of their defining gimmicks, really. And I've got a bunch of them. I used them in CG1. They did decently. It was a little bit underwhelming, but it was the type of thing where like they would go on like raids full of Fog Hoppers, and each raid they would lose like 1 or 2 ships, but they accomplished some stuff, and they would kind of just gradually eroded the squadron. But it was fun. So fog hopping I like too. This is one of their better ships just in general. Got good cargo and armament for the size, and then the gimmick helps it run gold. Xerix is actually using this ship in CG3 to run gold because he's got a fog bank near his home island, and then there's one near a wild island, so he can just pop out. And then I don't know if he even has a helmsman aboard, but you can get gold if you got the right fog arrangement. And in terms of that, you can use like smoke blast specialists. And
yes, exactly.
Home island raiders to make things pretty. One of the more complex gimmicks, but overall, it's a pretty good ship either way.
And it probably does keep opponents on their toes just about all the time, because anytime they're near fog, they're I could be vulnerable next turn.
Exactly. I've actually had to think about that in CG3 because Xerix launched a custom by Cazador. It's a 3-masted submarine with fog hopping. So I'm gonna.
I liked that when we read the stats.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to watch out for that soon. See, like Curse launched it recently in CG3. Next one, Lois Justice. 9 points, 2 masts, 6 cargo, S move. Cannons are 4S. Then crew of any nationality can use their abilities on this ship, which is nice, but for 2 masts and 9 points, you're not going to be able to do a lot with it. This one I consider kind of like the poor man's version of the Dark Pact. It's cheaper, but has the same move and cargo for 2 less masts. So it's another slow but capacious gold runner for the Cursed. Other than just using it as a gold runner with a helmsman and maybe another crew aboard, the ability is kind of nice because you could get maybe Calypso aboard or one of those, really unique crew that other factions don't have much of, or the Cursed don't have access to normally. So it's an interesting ability, but it's tough to take advantage of it on this particular ship.
Yeah, it's of limited use, even though I am adamant that this is kind of an underrated ability. But I would say between that and the high cargo space, this ship does have some pretty solid utility to it. Because it's poorly armed, this is obviously a gold runner, even though it's on the slow side. I would say use something like, provided that he doesn't have hostile or cursed or anything, Dominic Freda from Rise of the Fiends, helmsman, and if you can find it, some kind of cheap sat crew. Still pretty expensive, but a reasonably effective ship.
Yeah, the SAT option is a good one.
Yeah. I mean, my soft spot for Lois Justice isn't just because it was one of the ships I used in one of my early not-so-legal fleets when I was new to miniature trading.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember when I posted those and you're going, this guy's got some stuff to learn. Anyway, Strawman is... Curse continue with having really expensive small ships. This is a 12.2 masted ship. 2 cargo, L move, 3L, 3S gun. Fear, once per turn, this ship may randomly take 1 treasure from any ship she touches. That's an unfitting ability on a ship this slow, this poorly armed, and this, I guess, cramped. It's all over the place. What is the point?
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad ship. That's the point.
Why?
There's nothing else to conclude, I guess, for me at least. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
It's this one I remember specifically because I think I destroyed it at some point when I had my original collection, because this was one of 3 that went missing or was destroyed somehow. I don't know, something like that. But
nothing of value was lost.
Yeah, exactly. But this is one. The other 2 were pretty good French ships, including the Belle as well. But this one I did not miss nearly as much as the others. But it's basically just terrible. It's if you outfit it as a gunship, it's gonna be 17 points wasted. And if you try to do a gold runner, you're not. It can't. So
it's too slow and has no space.
Yeah, and it's wasting a ton of points on fear, and randomly taking a treasure. That doesn't work.
It's just the wrong ability for the ship, and it's too expensive.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. The next one is much better. Nightmare is 2-masted ship, only 4 points because it has a negative ability. Eliminate one of the ship's masts when she rolls a 1 on any cannon roll, so that explains the low cost. 3 cargo, L move. The cannons are 2S, 2L. This one, couple uses. It doesn't have 5 points cost, so you can't put a captain and a helmsman aboard. I like to either use it as like a fill out the points gunship with a captain, for such as 7 points, or empty as either a gold runner or just literally just filling out the points. So if you have 4 points left for a curse fleet, this is a solid addition because it has good cannons and 3 cargo for just 4 points. So it's a good value.
Yeah, I would just, I mean, at 4 points for a pair of rank 2 guns, even with a negative ability like that, it's actually pretty solid compared to most of what we've been looking at so far. But I'm pretty sure other factions also have ships like this.
Yeah.
I think there were 1 or 2 in Spanish Main. Yeah, I guess at some point we could probably compare the ships of this sort, and maybe at some point there will be time for a top 10 ships with negative abilities or whatever.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but it's a simple ship setups, and it's among their better. The next is Fallen Angel, which is okay. This one is, we could at least say it's almost good. So yeah, Fallen Angel is a 10-point ship at 1 mast. It has a 2L gun, moves 3S, has 2 cargo space, and cannot be shot at by ships with an S of her. I think WizKids forgot about the ramming mechanic when they were writing up this ship. Yeah, that's all that I have to say about it.
Yeah, I like this one best as a flotilla tug. I've used it pretty effectively with that in the past. Usually like captain and then maybe like a firepot specialist with like the Death's Anchor flotilla from Rise of the Fiends being towed behind. Because it's one of the few fast cursed ships that can tow a flotilla well and not get in the way of that extended range. And also it may get rammed, but then you still have that defensive ability and a good cannon. So it's not totally defenseless. Outside of the flotilla angle, though, it's not a very good ship on its own. It's too pricey to run gold, and it's too weak to fight on her own. So it's almost, for me, it's exclusively a flotilla option for the curse, but a pretty solid one at that because they don't have many fast ships at all.
Actually, if you don't mind, one setup I just thought of now that you mentioned it as a flotilla tug, captain plus shipwright. What do you think about that? Because
that makes sense.
One-masted ship, it's super vulnerable, but it's got a lot of firepower, so you could rush in aggressive, probably survive 1 hit as you kind of blitz them with your guns, and then you repair and go on to the next ship.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because then the Fallen Angel could repair while the flotilla is still shooting from behind.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, and then, really, this is kind of silly, but I think I've put Rise of the Fiends Phantasma on, which has Eternal and SAT, so you could move really quick.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then, since it's so small, Eternal might work more often, because you might get sunk multiple times, potentially. Then you can still fit 3 other points of crew aboard if you need it. But anyway, that's a really pricey option, but still. And speaking of Phantasma, we're into the Cursed Crew next. This version of Phantasma from DJC is 9 points. It has Fear. After the ship resolves a shoot action, she may move as a free action, so reverse captain ability. And then World Hater. This ship gets +1 hurricane rolls against any non-cursed ship. Linked to the Executioner, but I'd rather use a different version of Phantasma on the Executioner. And overall, Fear and Reverse Captain, just neither of those are all that useful. The World Hater is probably his best ability of the 3, but it's tough to justify spending all those points in most games, especially when pretty much all other versions of this guy are better. That's the tough part, because you gotta pick one, and this one is just inferior.
Yeah, I think this is the only instance of a World Hater on a cursed crew, and that's really bothersome because you can get that ability for other factions at 4 points, or there's some really good options that are Captain World Haters for 7 points from Mysterious Islands, a couple of which even have links.
Yeah.
this is an especially poor World Hater crew, but because it's the cursed only option, you may find yourself using it on occasion.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fear and Reverse Captain are not really strong. You'd need to put a normal captain and maybe a helmsman along with it.
Yep. Yeah, and the other thing is, it seems like the curse would get world haters because they hate the world. You know, they hate everybody. They want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
It seems like they would got more abilities like this, but oh well.
Maybe they're pacifist cursed.
Guess so.
Yeah. But next up is Papa Doc, which is not a very good crew at all.
No.
An interesting one, though, and I guess ties in some voodoo religion elements to the game lore, which is at least kind of interesting. But so 8 points. This is a possessing crew. If an enemy ship is within S of this ship, you can use this ship's action for the turn to try to possess a target crew on that ship. Roll a d6. On a result of 6, the target is immediately assigned to this ship. Its nationality changes to match the nationality of this ship. I've always liked the idea of this ability, but wasting your own action on a low chance die roll. Okay, like in the very first game that I played when I was getting back into this, I was using Edward Lowe, which is basically this same crew. I tried multiple turns in a row, and you just aren't able to do it. It's like you've got to get really lucky, and even then, how much more have you added? Because a lot of the time, you know, you'd have been better off spending these 8 points on a crew that's more useful.
Yep. Yeah, it's a terrible ability, pretty much. One thing in the recent Pirate Code said that if you don't get a 6, you can use the ship's action for the turn normally. So that was a good edit. It makes it a little bit more playable. Best thing to do is like submerged, so you can't get hit in the meantime, but which is good. Edward Lowe links to the locker, but Papa Doc is terrible.
Put Papa Doc on Pyre, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like Pyre's not great, but
yeah, I think I've done that. Maybe it sounds familiar.
Huh.
Luckily, Papa Doc got a good showing in Return to Savage Shores, but we'll do that in another set review for us. So
either Pyre or Slipstream. I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah. The next one is Davy Jones himself. 11 points limit, keyword, and then the copier ability. At the beginning of each of your turns, choose any ability possessed by any ship or crew in play. This character has that ability. You may make a different choice each turn. Link to the Flying Dutchman, but not a great link. This one is just one of 2 sources of the copy ability along with Behemoth. Having it on a crew is extremely powerful. The best use is usually on a 10 master in large games when you can copy, anything. You can copy a defensive ability like the Pestilence, like Masts can only be eliminated on cannons of 6. Even the Acorazato's ability.
It can't be shot at with an S.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Bonaparte's ability. And also you could copy some crazy stuff. In Command the Oceans, he copied Calypso to invade another ocean. Which was pretty crazy and fun. You could do all sorts of things with it. You could copy Namazu's ability, the tidal wave attack. There's just endless options. So it's one of the... You won't always get the value for 11 points. Sometimes you'll copy abilities that are worth less than that. I mean, not many abilities are worth 11 points, of course, but I think he's fairly priced. Almost impossible to use in a standard 40-point game, but I mean, that's not really where he shines anyway. Same with the other version. So he's best for huge games. So, at least 150 points, preferably like thousands. So.
This is. To add on to what you said, I'm going to start with some trivia. I think this is one of maybe 3 or 4 crew that are not either 0-point rerollers or point limit boosters that have the limit keyword.
Yeah.
And I think it's maybe, likewise, it's one of the few that doesn't have limit and ransom.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. And as you said, almost impossible to use in small games because you can get, like, multiple ships for the price of this crew.
Yeah.
Multiple decent ships. So really hard to justify, but also viable or useful for a lot of really cool strategies. And I don't think people have come close to figuring out everything that's possible.
I agree.
I mean, you might have, but the rest of us.
Not quite. I mean, I discover new things with this guy, too. And I actually haven't used him as much as I like to. Partly because the Ocean's Edge version is so good, too. All powerful,
Yeah.
amazing ability. So
Yeah.
I acquired that way before I acquired this version. So I haven't really used the copy ability enough. Command the Oceans was a very good opportunity for it. And now that I think of it, I did use Davy Jones to copy Fog Hopper, so the Guichuan was able to fog hop into enemy territory.
Oh.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. It was fun. So yeah, it's just endless potential. It's a lot of fun, pretty crazy, and one of the best curse crew overall. So
yeah, I would like to add on that I have more to mention about this crew, but it'll have to wait until later when I can talk about one specific unique treasure.
Yeah, pretty much same here. We could do like a 20-minute segment of a future episode on like copying stuff in general.
Oh yeah, actually we'd probably have to prepare that in advance, like make lists of the best abilities to copy and the best ships to drop them on.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'll skip on ahead to Sammy the Skull, which I think is actually a really good crew overall. I'm pretty sure you disagree with me, but
not for the
curse. Yeah, I guess for the curse, but also kind of in general, I kind of feel that Sammy the Skull is pretty decent. Sammy the Skull, for 6 points, you get a captain with a boarding roll bonus. Also, a link to the white crew, which are not so good. But I think that's a really good combo for ships that you intend to board with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's solid combo. I just think +1 board is a little overrated, and also it's 2 points, so it's a little overpriced crew for what you get. A lot of times I'm fine with just going with the captain without a bonus. I like the link to white crew. We'll talk about them soon. They have that massacre ability. It's one of the best links in terms of thematically and like abilities fitting together. It's a really good link overall, even if it's really pricey. I like using it on their switchblades, like the skin flayer and sickle. It's perfect for those ones. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, I actually used Sammy the Skull when I used Chum Maker.
Okay, that makes sense too. Yep.
Yeah, it was because Chum Maker also has an ability for winning boarding parties, so that was really useful, except for the fact that Chum Maker has like no durability and costs 17 points. So I lost that ship.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Yep. But yeah, Sammy the Skull is good. He's one of the best cursed named crew, partly because they don't really have that many, and they don't have many named captains, so he's good. The next one, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Devereaux.
Okay, I thought it was close. Yeah. It just doesn't have a great ability for a crew. If the ship shoots at a ship that was previously shot at by another ship this turn, she gets +1 to her cannon rolls against that ship this turn. Pretty wordy ability again. 3 points. I don't think it's worth 3. I think maybe 2 points would be fine. In bigger games, it is pretty decent because you get into these big, huge battles where it's pretty easy to have a ship shoot at another one before this one comes in. But this is just better off built into a ship, and either way, it's not that great of an ability in the first place.
Yeah, an awesome ability. I think you're right. 2 points, maybe. Well, I think 1 is probably too cheap because then you could start to build fleets around utilizing it. But then again, I would argue that the curse could use anything. You know, they could use something really good.
Yeah.
So 1 point, it might be fair in the name of making the curse more relevant. But I'm not WizKids, so Devereaux is not very good.
Yeah. He does have one of the best, in my opinion, flavor stories in the game. Because he has 3 different versions and they all connect to each other. It's pretty demonic and interesting how he developed.
Yeah, he first appeared in Revolution, and then he appears in this set, and later on in Rise of the Fiends. He's gonna get some attention on the canon wiki when I can dedicate time to that again.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure when we'll get around to that.
Yeah, I just know it well because I've had the first 2 versions of him for a while, and I used some of the flavor text in my in Command the Oceans. He was like the cursed admiral for the game, so I got to like kind of expand on the flavor text, and I actually, spoilers for anybody listening, but I kind of already talked about it. So, I actually made like an eye. I combined. They found two UTs, the Cursed Conch, and then the Eye of Insanity UTs from this set, and they combined them to form like the Eye, which is kind of like symbolically like the Eye of the Dragon, which it talks about in its flavor text. So then I combined that to make it like an actual thing in the game, which is fun. So anyway.
Onward, I'll talk about Tabitha Quarren, which is not actually that interesting. While I'm adamant that this ability is underrated, at 3 points on a crew, it's very rare to see this type of crew used. Maybe on capital ships like Guichuan, or maybe Flying Dutchman, but...
Or Delusion, actually.
Yeah, Delusion, maybe, or Spectre.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I've used her a little bit, but not a ton. Her other
as much
version,
as Cavendish.
Yeah, exactly. Her other version is an L mover, so I usually do what you just said. Use Tabby, the other version, then Cavendish. So, next one, the Unblinking 99. This one is awful. It's just fear for 6 points. Linked to Papa Doc, who's one of the worst cursed crew in the game, and this one is arguably even worse. So you've got two terrible crew that link to each other for 14 points. It's awful. Just fear should be 2 points. So 6 is just it's comically bad. It's just a joke, really.
It is. It is. This actually reminds me. My playgroup has talked about doing a game where we deliberately build each other the worst fleet possible.
Yeah.
I would use this plus Papa Doc on spilled salt and take up like 70% of the point cost, and you've got just like you'd have a boatload of terrible abilities. Unblinking 99 has fear, which would be redundant on top of spilled salt, I think.
Yeah, stacking it, yep.
So I would be able to waste 6 points there.
Yep.
I guess it'd make it harder to cancel, but nobody's going to end up with a canceller in that game, I think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right. We're getting now to White Crew, which is one you wanted to talk about earlier. White Crew for 7 points, and a link to Sammy the Skull. If this ship succeeds at a boarding party, she may eliminate all of the other ship's crew. I think this is way too expensive. It's an okay ability, but I think it's like a 3-point ability, maybe 4.
Yeah, I'd say 5 is fair. 4 could work. I don't think less than 4. It's still going to be pretty powerful, especially I've seen a lot of freak boarding parties where the smaller ship wins. That's part of the reason I don't like +1 to boards for the most part. But yeah, it's a great link. Good art. Pretty disturbing flavor text, as usual. So a cool crew and a good link. So I usually put them on one of the 2 cursed switchblades, which we'll see in Fire and Steel. So maybe a 10 master, but I like to use like Nemo or some other crazy stuff on 10 masters. So
I would like to interrupt real quick with something. How it always bothered me how boarding was never all that viable a strategy in this game, because most major naval engagements were decided by boarding and not by gunfire.
Not really.
No? Oh, okay.
Maybe. Not in what I've read, at least. Maybe more in other, like eras or whatever. But
I thought I read something like 80% of, like, say, one-on-one ship-to-ship engagements.
Oh, one-on-one. Yeah, that's
which is what we encounter more in this game, especially in smaller games.
Yeah, that you play. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like Age of Sail, like big wars. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but boarding is not very useful in this game, and it's better to just open fire. And you only really have any motivation to board if you expect to win or gain something, or it just basically has to be advantageous, and it isn't always.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
All right, Sargasso Nightmare, was that yours or mine?
Yeah, I think it was. I think now that I'm realizing, it's hard to keep track sometimes. This one is pretty weird. I just can't get over like the art and the flavor text, like seeing them as we're like going through the checklist. It's just like crew after crew of like demonic nonsense. It says tossed overboard and left for dead, Stephen Calhoun discovered a dark sea creature that kept him alive as the Sargasso Nightmare. All of it asks of him is more blood. And so it's an L booster. It says if a sea monster begins to move with an L of the ship, it gets plus L to its base move. I actually like that ability. I've used it pretty effectively a bunch of times. It's I think it's the best way to make sea creatures faster. It's not terribly expensive, and you can easily put it on the main gunship of a fleet that usually runs along with the creatures or like right behind them. The link is terrible. Trogs is not really viable, but I don't really care about links usually, especially in this case. But Sargasso Nightmare is a decent crew for sea monster fans, I guess you could say, like Xerix. Are you there or no? Yeah, I guess he's gone again. I don't know if his computer went on or what happened this time, but yeah, Sargasso Nightmare, it's not too bad. Alright, so we're back again.
Yeah, second technical issue of the night. But anyway, Sargasso Nightmare, which we were talking about. I don't think very highly of this crew. You mentioned Xerix likes sea monsters. I like the idea of sea monsters. But to me, this is a huge waste because it's twice as expensive as a helmsman, but not twice as effective. You have to have a ship on hand to shepherd the sea monster. And I guess we've made maybe I've made the case that sea monsters are better as support support gunship type roles. But I mean, it's like you're spending so much and having to go out of your way to give your sea monster an extra L to its base move when you could probably just spend the points that you would have spent on its sea monster and on this crew just on a ship that's more self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. One thing I will say it's good is like a blitz strategy when you have multiple sea monsters getting at least one, if not two bonuses, like this and the Serpent's Fang. And then they can move like LLL or LLSS or something crazy, and then stay submerged until they all of a sudden they pop up and like all of them like slam into the opponent's fleet at like high speed all at the same time. So it can be decent, but a lot of times you need a lot of points to make the combo work. So
that's fair. And now that you mention it, there's no mention in the ability of a limit to how many sea monsters this can be affected by.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you put this on a really fast ship, like Fallen Angel, maybe, this and then have it like have 4 or 5 sea monsters in tow, just kind of move them all at the same speed.
Yep.
And that kind of makes sense. Just hit hard. I guess I like that.
Yeah.
You made a good point.
That's the fleet I linked in the mail-in thread today. That was the Serpent's Fang has this ability built in, for anybody listening. It's a decent cursed longship that's, I think, underrated. I've used it, I don't know, every time I use the Serpent's Fang, she does well for me. And I like she kind of has her pets around her and they go off and attack before she strikes. And it's surprisingly effective usually. But like I said, you still need, a lot of points to pull it off correctly. So,
but you really do make a good point with that, and I mean, as somebody who always wanted to find an excuse to use sea monsters, that's I may have to go out of my way to try to get Serpent's Fang for when I end up playing a big game, so I can do something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Trogs. I think it's my turn to star one, I think. Yeah. Trogs is another not so amazing crew because it's 5 points. It's linked to Sargasso Nightmare, which is not really a relevant link. It's not like a good pair. If this ship wins a boarding party, she may take as much treasure from the other ship as she wants, up to her available cargo space. When are you going to use that?
I don't know. Maybe the Dark Pact? I don't know. But you're not going to catch much, so...
Yeah, you're not going to catch anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just meh. I don't know if I've used it yet. I think I've wanted to, but it's tough to justify ever using it. So it's not super fun either. I'd rather use Sargasso Nightmare or maybe like an L mover for 6 points instead of
Yeah.
this. So yep.
Also, another short tangent regarding boarding. It's one of my other problems with boarding is that it's never really all that efficient to chase down a gold runner to empty its hold unless you also plan to sink it. But it's rare to find ships that will either disable or destroy Gold Runner and totally empty its hold. And it strikes me as more effective and more efficient to just get to the gold first with use of a better Gold Runner.
Yep. Yeah, that. Or sometimes I like to capture Gold Runners when they still have stuff on board.
Yeah.
Home or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that concludes the Cursed. For now, at least. We're into the Pirates now. Finally, the next faction. Their first ship in the set is the Harbinger, a remake of the Spanish Main version. This one is 16 points, 5 masts, L move. The cannons are 3L, 2S, 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 3L. And then it has S boarding built in, so as part of move action, the ship may initiate a boarding party against the ship up to S away from her without anything to ram. The boarded ship may not use any boarding bonuses. Link to Jack Hawkins. That'd be any version of him that works, which is a good link. But overall, I see this as yet another good pirate 5-masted capital ship. Not their best, but kind of just a numbers thing, kind of like the French 5-masters. It's not like all of them need to be amazing, but it's just a good pirate ship overall.
Yeah, this actually strikes me as kind of I want to say a neoclassical one, because if you just look at the stats, you'd think this is from Spanish Main, and then you look at the ability and go, this is not from Spanish Main.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But artwork-wise, it almost looks like a reprint of the Spanish Main ship. As you said, it's not like their ultimate best, but if this was somebody's like first pack pull, it would be a great way to start into the game, because it's kind of simple, but it has an easy to understand ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Next on to is Dragon's Breath. Wow, we've actually found one that's worse than Hellfire. Dragon's Breath is a 12-point 4-masted pirate ship, 4 cargo, L move. All 4 guns are 4L, which is not a good starting point. It's made even worse by the fact that it has the World Hater ability. So I guess technically they're all 3L, but it's very hard to pad them any further than that.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
There are significantly better hybrids or even gunships at that point cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like the artwork, and I think the ship is slightly underrated. I've never heard it discussed really. She's okay, but just kind of like a numbers thing.
She's super generic.
Yeah, exactly. Just a numbers thing. Just a a numbers gunship for a larger game usually. So.
Yeah, she's like a special edition boxed ship. That's what she is.
That's a good point. Yep.
But not quite as good.
Yeah, arguably. Yep. Next one is Black Cat. 13 points, 3 masts, 4 cargo, SS move. The cannons are 3S, 3S, 4S. And then after the ship resolves a shoot action, she may move as a free action, so the reverse captain ability. Link to Bonnie Peel, who's much better off on some other ships. The Black Cat doesn't really... It's not a great ship. It's kind of a funky little hybrid. I mean, they've got better options. It's kind of similar to the Sea Monkey, the cursed ship we went over recently, but it's not. It's a little bit worse. It's just kind of middling in most ways, so it's kind of like a subpar hybrid.
Yeah, its problem is that its armament and its ability really aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Might almost be excusable if it were like 2 or 3 points cheaper. But even then, it has to compete with some really good, like, dedicated ships at that point cost. And it's too expensive and too middle of the road.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Sea Fox is next up, and I'm not totally sure how to feel about it. So you're getting a 2-masted blockade runner for 12 points with only S move. On the plus side, though, it has 4 cargo, both its guns are 2L, and L-range guns can't hit it. I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
I guess it's a decent ability. It's well armed and it has good cargo space, but it's expensive. It's not very big for what you're paying. I'm not so sure about this one.
Yeah.
Captain Helmsman, maybe a musketeer?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. I tend to like these extreme ships that have like a lot of cargo, slow move, and then good cannons. I kind of like those types of ships. It has a nice ability. Yeah, it's kind of like a slow, like weak dreadnought thing. I don't know. It's not great, but it's okay.
Captain Helmsman shipwright?
Yeah, something like that, or even loaded up like big time. Yeah. I don't know, like musketeer and then oarsman. I don't know.
Not sure if I'd do that on a ship this small that's this expensive, though.
Yeah, true, yeah. It's okay. It's just kind of a weird one, kind of an oddity, so...
If it had L move...
Yeah, it'd be better. That'd be a decent, like, little hybrid type thing, I guess. But yeah, it's okay. I think it's slightly underrated, but not great. Next one I love. Selkie, one of my original ships. 9 points, 3 masts, 4 cargo, L move. Cannons are 3L, 2L, 3L. Then it has the sniping ability. You may double the range of the ship's cannons each turn, but you must roll a 6 to hit. So it's a solid hybrid. Hammersmith is a very good option here. Captain Helmsman will leave you with 2 spaces open for 14 total points. I like how it can hit pretty accurately at long range, but if you're not in long range, you could go to extra long range, LL, and then try to get a 6. You can put a world hater aboard, but you're going to run out of points for the other crew pretty quickly. But I like this ship a lot. I like the artwork. It's got a greenish hue on the hull, and it's got kind of a classic pirate ship in my opinion. So a good one.
Yeah, I think the greenish hue. If I get wrong what I'm about to say, then I'm going to sound like a huge idiot. But I think a Selkie is like a Celtic mythological demon or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So the green would, I guess, be sort of thematic. But Selkie as a ship is probably like a standout surprise from this set because she's an awesome little hybrid. Even if you compare her to gunships alone in her points neighborhood, she stands up pretty well, and she has the cargo to put them to shame. As you said, Hammersmith, and I would say, in addition, depending on how you wanted to specialize this ship, you might want to add an oarsman for safety. You could do Gentleman Jocard if you wanted to focus a little more on flexibility and running gold, or you could do a world hater if you wanted a cheap but super good support gunship.
Yep, exactly.
So beyond Selkie, we've got Mocha, which is not as good.
Boring.
So more expensive, less cargo space, same move, worse guns. They're all 3S. This is a 3-masted schooner. +1 to boarding rules or +2 against Sea Monster. No, super average ship, too expensive, and also, I mean, you already don't like the boarding roll ability, but even I admit that the +2 against Sea Monsters is worse than useless.
Yeah, because it's adding cost to something you won't do on purpose. I mean, I don't think I've ever purposely boarded a sea monster. I don't think. Only if they stole your gold first and you're trying to get it back, but that's very unlikely to ever happen in a game. Super boring ship, and I don't like boring ships. So, next one is the Orca. This one has gotten some ridicule.
For good reason.
6 points, 2 masts, S plus S base move. The cannons are 5S, 4S, so really terrible. It only has 1 cargo space. And then the ability is solid. When this ship carries no cargo, she gets +S to her base move. So the only usage is send it out empty, and then just get 1 coin, and then come back at like reduced speed. But for 6 points, you can get like Banshee's Cry with the helmsman. So
and even if you have the self-respect not to use Banshee's Cry, you can get Le Solitaire. You can use L'Intrépide. You can use like all manner of empty gold runners from the Corsairs. What's the... Oh, okay, we almost always can figure out some role for these really weird low-cost ships. Are you coming up with anything? Because I'm thinking maybe Flotilla Tug, but she's not better at that than a lot of other pirate ships are.
Yeah, and then you're wasting the ability because you can't use the bonus when towing a flotilla anyway. So even that
Oh,
is
yeah.
tough. Yeah. I mean, it would be a good idea, but you can't use the bonus. Yeah, just send it out, SSS, get a coin, come back at SS. That's it. I don't.
Yeah, somebody please try to think of something to do for us.
I guess like suicide ramming, because it'll be quick when it's empty to ram, but I mean there's still better options. You could get 2 ships at a similar speed for the same price.
Yeah. The problem is when you crew her up, you trade that ability for another. So you basically lose speed and raise the cost. Yeah. So no, I consider that a negative ability, if anything, because you have to make a trade.
I think it's good, but only with ships with enough cargo, like 3 or more.
Yeah.
It basically requires the ship to be an empty gold runner, or you just lose the ability. So you need at least 3 cargo with that ability for the most part. So.
Yeah. The reason why I'm bothered by it is because it sort of forces you to choose, but in this case, it's not really a choice, is it?
No.
It's like being given a bad option and a worse option and being told, well, you have a choice. It's like, yeah, the hell I do. Yeah. All right. After Orca, we're talking about another ship that ends with CA, which is Jamaica. An 8-point ship, 2 masts, 3 S4L guns, base move of L, 4 cargo, which is not so bad. After looking at treasure on a wild island, you may trade any one treasure from that island for a random treasure on any other island. Must load traded treasure. So it's a gold ship, basically. It's a helmsman and maybe Gentleman Joe card or not. And if you do use him, you could also add on an explorer. I don't know.
Yeah, I would just do a helmsman. It's not very interesting or exciting. Kind of like the Shamrock from Mysterious Islands, but slower. They're kind of like sister ships, but just nothing too special, really. Pretty boring, slightly below average gold runner. So.
Yeah. I think you're right. Just a helmsman.
Yeah. The next one, Calchas. It's a 1-masted sloop. Kind of similar to the Fallen Angel. Can't be shot at by ships with an S of her. 2 cargo, SS move, and a 2S cannon. I don't see much use for this. Just doesn't. I don't know. It's not going to excel at anything. So it's just too pricey, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, for one more point, you can get yourself Fallen Angel, which has as faster of a base move, a similar or identical ability. I don't remember quite exactly. As well as an L range gun instead of an S range gun.
Yep, exactly.
Just kind of falls short. And the real problem is that this ability is useless on 1-masted ships.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you can disable them by ramming them.
Yep.
All right, next up is Bonnie Peel, which is, I guess, one of the most interesting crew in the set. 8 points is a pirate captain that when you win a boarding party, you can capture the crew with the highest point cost and then ransom it for its cost, for its point cost in gold at your home island, and is linked to the Black Cat. I like this ability, but I haven't seen it used much. I think you came up with a really interesting crew capture and ransom fleet at some point.
Yeah, I've had a handful of experiences using these crew. Xerix likes them a lot. This is actually Wolf's favorite way to win in general. This kind of gimmick, actually. It's a good one. I think this is the appropriate price. Other crew got this ability for 7 points instead of 5. I think 5 is more fair. One thing I will say is it's good to know your opponent with this one, because if they're a beginner player, they're less likely to use named crew, so you're probably going to get a smaller payout if you win boarding parties. You're mostly be capturing generic crew. So it shines against more experienced players that might be using more complicated named crew, and also in larger games where not only are there more points to spend on named crew for your opponents, but also you'll probably have more time to at least try the strategy out. It's got good artwork too. I like the Flintlock pistol showcase there. Artwork.
Yeah. Also, quick question: do those crew that have the ability to raise the gold value of gold brought home, do they have any effect on ransomed crew or not?
I don't think so, because that ability says coin.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're almost certainly right about that, and that's a shame because that would kind of add value to that play style.
Yeah, that's all right. It's still pretty viable, but it's kind of, it depends on quite a bunch of factors. So like build total and opponent.
Yeah, definitely.
Tendencies. So.
And how good of a collection your opponent has as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Jack Hawkins. This one has captain and then reverse captain on the same crew, but you cannot chain them, as we'll say again, I'm sure. He's 9 points. Reverse captain to me is worth 2 because it's not as good as captain, so it has to be less. So I think he should be 5. He links to the Harbinger, but there's other better versions of Jack Hawkins, and I would say this is the worst version of Jack Hawkins in the game, so there's not much reason to use him.
Yeah. The real problem is just that reverse captain is definitely worth nothing close to 6 points. Yep. It might have been if you were allowed to chain them, but you're not, so that's how things go.
Yep.
All right. Blackheart is the one I'll leap on next. Right after I finish summarizing this one, I've got to run away to use the bathroom real quick. But Blackheart is 6 points and has the black mark keyword and reverse captain. Black mark has some value to it. I think you've pointed out, as well as some other people. But we're looking at another reverse captain.
Yeah, exactly. This one, not very good. Black mark allows it to be cursed, but the curse don't get a lot of usage out of this either. And of course, Blackheart is an iconic figure in this game. His other couple versions are way better. The SM version of the Sat Captain is extremely good for the pirates, and then of course Emperor Blackheart, Promotion's Edge, with the same artwork but way better all-powerful ability. So no reason to use him really. I don't know if I have, maybe as a novelty for Black Mark, but not much else. Next one is George Washington LeBeau. This one is an L mover. This is actually an American crew because they're doing crew for twofers in this set. Like 2 crews on the same card on the different sides. So we're already into the American stuff in a way, even though we're not to that section of the set. So give the ship a move action, but do not move her. Instead, roll a d6 and a result of 5 or 6. Move an enemy ship L in any direction, just like Suro, L mover. Link to the Swamp Fox, not a very good link. It's not a great ship. I like to use him on the Kentucky, which is a American ship with built-in reroll. You could also use him on the Annapolis, which is a 6-point American ship, and then put Wayne Nolan aboard, who's the 0-point reroller for the Americans from Barbary Coast. That's a good way to maximize his usage. But I don't know, the L-mover gimmick is more cursed than American, so it's a little bit funky to see it on the Americans. And then the flavor text talks about the Loa a little bit, which I always find kind of amusing. So an interesting flavor text, but yeah.
Yeah, like I've said, I don't fully understand what can be done with this. I know you can send enemy ships into terrain, sometimes into islands. Probably, I think you said it's valuable in games where you're using mysterious islands.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
But the exceptionally poor link and the fact that it's American, which means there are, only so many ships you can throw them on, means it's just like, you'll use the cursed ones before you use him.
Yeah, I'll be right back, by the way.
All right.
Keep going.
All right. Next up is Derek the Red, and he is a World's Hater, and he also has SAC, but he's not a SAC captain, which is a combination you see actually quite often. But Derek the Red is he's probably kind of a prime choice for people who are going to do a pretty serious pirate capital ship type thing, especially if they plan to use the sacrifice a crew ability, the utility of which I think comes from the fact that you can get the extra action exactly when you need it instead of having to kind of hope and pray for a positive roll. But I guess him paired with a captain and then just kind of a few superfluous oarsmen and then a helmsman is probably pretty good. But my problem with sack abilities is that you have to basically delete the points you spent on crew setting up your own fleet. It's probably more viable in big games where the high point cost allows you to really make waste of some of your points, because not every point matters as much. I'm reading way too much into this ability to stall for time while Ben gets back so we can hear his thoughts on this. But I'm going to ramble on this because I might as well read the flavor text. New to the Crimson Coast, this Nordic pirate made his name staking daring raids along the coasts of England, France, and the United States. I almost think that he could fit in with Frozen North, and I almost sort of wish he had come back for that, but I think that's the sound of Ben coming back to share his thoughts so he can end my kind of incoherent rambling.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like this guy. Same as the Headhunter from South China Seas, but it's just a great combo of combat abilities for a good price. So I like him a lot. I like your point. He should have showed up in another set. But there's a lot of flavor text crew that could have been appearing more often, but it's probably good to have a lot of variety too. So next one is GPO Charles Richard. He's got a couple versions. This one's the best in my opinion. Just basic World Hater for 4 points, +1 to cannon rolls against non-American ships. The link is good. What was that?
Or forts, which you don't always get on World Haters. It's not all that much more valuable, but it's a good little bonus.
Yeah, it's good. The link to the Paul Revere is good. I love that ship. It's a solid gunship. But yeah, the Americans getting another World Hater along with Brent Rice is good. Good for like the Constitution and other 5 masters that could use the extra firepower.
Yeah, I've found that with how many kind of good 5 masters the Americans got right out of the gate, the redundancy of having free World Haters is quite useful, even in smaller games, because that means you can afford to outfit 2 really nasty ships, even in a 40-point game.
Yeah.
Skyme the Monkey is a 5-point crew. If this ship wins a boarding party, she may take as much treasure from the other ship as she wants up to her available space. I've already talked about why I think this is not an amazing ability.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like it to be one.
Yeah, I think this, I mean, it would require adjusting some other abilities, but I think this could have been 4 or even 3 points. It's, one of my biggest problems with this one is you put it on a ship to steal gold with, but then it takes up space. Then you can take 1 less coin, and you're trying to maximize how many coins you can take, so it's kind of counterintuitive how it works on a crew. It's better built into a ship, like the Discharges, how to pronounce it, from Mysterious Islands. It's a good example, but anyway.
Yeah, so it's like, it's an ability that can really only work on a ship with a lot of hold space, but boarding really only works on ships that are kind of fast and typically big because they need to win the boarding party. Yeah. Because if you want to boost your odds at winning on either the second die roll or the first one, you'll need to either have a boarding bonus or a re-roll, and that's more space wasted.
Yep.
Yeah, it's something that works on very few, if any, ships.
Yeah, it's tough to set up properly. Jerky Johnson is next. American crew. If a sea monster begins its move with an L of this ship, it gets +L to its base move. So an L mover, like Sargasso Nightmare, but for the Americans, they only got a couple sea creatures, and the ones they got were not very good at all. So this one's mostly a pointless crew. You're not really going to use them almost ever. So.
Unless you can find like a decent Shepherd type ship when you're building an international fleet.
Yeah,
something that's maybe even better for its function than, say, Serpent's Fang is.
yeah. You could put him on the Lois Justice to get another Cursed Elf booster, I guess. But
Yeah, although I don't know, Lois Justice is too slow for it to really be all that useful, I'd say.
you'd have to get like Helmsman and Sat as well, SAT.
Yeah, and Lois Justice also doesn't make for a very good warship, sadly.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, for that strategy, I'd imagine you'd want the Shepherd ship to be a pretty solid warship in its own right.
Yep.
Or at least passable, and that's not something Lois Justice is.
Yeah.
HMS Gargantuan, it is my turn to start one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is 16 points, is really getting us into the English. 16 points, 3 cargo, SS move, 4L, 3L, 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 4L. And it has reverse captain, and this is just incredibly generic.
Yeah, I actually think it's mostly bad because the cargo and reverse captain. I do have a soft spot. I'm glad we're into the English. They're my favorite faction. I always love seeing this ship because this was actually my first English 5-master, which means a lot to me because the English are my favorite faction. I love like naval warfare, and the 5-masters are my favorite ship type and all that. So this one will always be special to me. It's not special in gameplay though, to be totally honest. The cargo is as low as it gets on a 5-master, and then reverse captain is a waste of points for the most part, and then the guns aren't really that great. So there's not really any quality that makes it good. The speed is decent, but nothing that's really stand out as good. So, oh well.
Yeah.
The next one, HMS Bretwalda. This one's better. It's got 4 masts, 14 points, 3 cargo, L move. All the cannons are 2S, and then it has broadsides attack, which is actually decently fitting because with 2S cannons, you don't have to shorten the range, and you only have to roll a 3 or higher. So it's one of the better large ships to have broadsides attack. It's still not a great idea usually, but it's a decent gunship, if a little on the pricey side.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's probably one of the best implementations of broadsides attack out there. The linked crew, I'm not sure is all that relevant. No. In fact, I think this version of Trevor Van Tyne is pretty bad, if my memory serves. But, I remember when I did the ranking for this set, it made my list, which was pretty controversial, doubly so considering, I guess, how many things you've opened my eyes to the value of in this podcast so far. But cool. Bretwalda as a whole, I think, is probably not like a game changer, but I would say it's probably underrated.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like it, so I wouldn't say underrated, but it is good. I do like the artwork too. The sails, crossed swords on the sails. It's a good like short range brute force gunship. But the cargo cost and speed are a little limiting when you think about London, Oxford, Titan, stuff like that.
Definitely, or Gallows.
Yeah, true. Next one, HMS Carrot, no, it's your turn. Sorry.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it is. So it's HMS Caradoc, which is a 4-masted schooner at 13 points. SL move, 4 cargo, 4S, 3S, 3S, 4L. So pretty poorly armed, and it's just got the basic reroll ability. This is pretty poor, actually, coming from the English, who have some really good options in this price neighborhood at this size.
Yeah, it's not great. I think I wanted to go first because I love the English so much, and I'm trying to pick up the pace, I guess. It's solid. The speed and the reroll are the best strengths, I guess. I like to use Beckett or Cargo, the Admiral crew, like on a 6, give any ship in your fleet an extra action. That's a decent spot for this crew on the ship. But other than that, it's just not great at anything. So it kind of just falls by the wayside in favor of better options. So. Next one, HMS Guy Fawkes. This one is 3 masts, 11 points, 3 cargo, L move. Cannons are 2S, 3S, 2S. That has a World Hater built in. so they're essentially 1S, 2S, 1S. This one's just a pure gunship, nothing too special, just captain, helmsman, maybe an oarsman or something, or like a firepot specialist maybe for the 1S cannon at the bow. So yeah, just pure firepower.
Yeah, that's really all it is. Its gimmick is that it has really excellent firepower for its point cost, although everything else is kind of neglected to get that. Yep. Surely the right choice for some people, but probably won't see use as much as something like HMS Nautilus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
HMS Siam, I think, is how it should be pronounced by an English person, but my dad calls it the Sea Ham.
Yeah.
It was one of the first ships he ever used. It's a 9-point blockade runner, 2 masts, 2 cargo space SS move, pair of 3S guns, and a boarding roll bonus and a double boarding roll bonus against sea monsters. It's bleh.
Yeah, this one's super meh. I don't like it at all. Nothing good. So, it'd be a little bit better with like no ability at like 6 points or whatever that ability technically costs. So
yeah, we could probably use more like average-ish ships that you can do interesting things with than super niche ships that are not good ever.
Yeah. I kind of wish there were more ships with no abilities instead of so few.
I can only think of HMS Dover, Carolina, and that's it.
Yeah, Picador from Spanish Main, but that one's not very good. The other two are better than that one. So yeah. Next one is maybe worse. HMS Mayfair. This is one of my least favorite English ships in the game for a lot of reasons. 8 points, 3 masts, 3 cargo, L move. Cannons are 4L, 4L, 4S. Cursed crew can use their abilities on the ship. The artwork is nasty. It looks super dumb. Does not look like an English ship at all. I just don't like this one. It's not useful for anything. And it links to Sir Edmund Atkinson, who's just a 8-point possessor crew, who God Mason already talked about how useless they usually are. So this is one of the worst English ships in the game, and not a good ship at all.
Yeah, I'd love for this to be relevant. I might have to try to figure out a use for it someday, but I'm guessing it's no more than a 6 out of 10 at best.
Yeah, I would give it like 3 out of 10.
Oh, it'll probably get 3, if not like 2, but we'll see. We'll see. So after Mayfair is HMS Henry VIII. I'm not going to sing the song, so don't ask. Okay. It's a 3-masted schooner, 10 points, 2 cargo space, SL move, 3S, 3L, 3S. And then a faction bonus. It's time for my meme. How much I hate faction bonuses. All right, you can pick it up now.
Okay. Yeah, this one strikes me. It's just like a speedy, mid-sized warship. The cargo is too low to run any gold. So I just use captain and usually a helmsman too. Then you got really fast speed. It's kind of just a good first strike gunship in larger games. There's way too many better options at a lower build total to use it though.
Or even better ships for the same cost. HMS Nautilus is almost identical, but has better gun ranks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yep. The next one, HMS Bath. This one's kind of fun. 12 points for a 2-master, but you get 5 cargo, L move, 4L, 4S cannons, and it's got the home island rating ability. So you can dock on a home island, load a treasure. I kind of like this one. I think it's a slightly underrated ship. It's pricey to run gold with. I would usually just put a helmsman on board, maybe an oarsman, not much else, and then basically use it as a gold runner. And then if the opportunity arises to raid enemy home islands, you could try that. But it's not great, but I kind of like it. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I think you summed it up. It's decent, but it is a bit too expensive.
Yeah.
Doubly so considering how small it is. HMS Half Moon, for 9 points, you're getting actually something pretty similar, but it's instead of being a home island raider,
it's a general raider.
The ability's not as good because it's, take 1 treasure from any ship she touches, but those 9 points are for 5 cargo space, SS move, and 3S guns. So I guess its hard stats are all better, but its abilities worse.
Yeah, this one's better, I think, overall. I would similarly use this one as a, mostly as a gold runner. I haven't really used it as a hybrid much, but I kind of want to now. Even with a captain and helmsman, you'd have 3 spaces left over, and if you win a board, you could take 2 coins on the first, contact with an enemy ship. And then if you wanted to, you could put Hermione Gold or Thomas Gunn from Resident Fiends to save the cargo space. So I'd say it's an underrated hybrid / gold runner for the English.
Yeah, or if you wanted to use it as a sort of support hybrid, Hermione Gold from Mysterious Islands.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yep.
If I'm thinking of the right crew.
Yeah. The next one is HMS Starbuck. 1 masted sloop for 2 cargo. SSS move, 4S cannon. It's got the ability to get +1 to a cannon roll against ship that was previously shot at that turn. I can't even say it fast enough. I'm just trying to go fast because this one's not too great. Usually empty gold runner or maybe flotilla tug. Those are the 2 uses I do for it.
Yeah, flotilla tug I think would be better in the role if the cannon rank were better. Especially, I mean, does the ability count if it's a flotilla that fired?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it would.
Yeah. Even so, I think the gun rank would just need to be better, period.
Yeah, it's not a great ship at all.
Yeah, especially bad considering that at this point nobody knew flotillas would come out. Trevor Van Tyne is...
pretty good.
Yeah, not really. Actually, yeah, it's pretty bad. Trevor Van Tyne is a 6-point S-boarder. I'm pretty sure you can get S-boarding captains for 7 points from some factions.
Yeah.
He's 6 points, and the reason why he's 6 points is because he has a faction-specific boarding bonus. I think both of us are angry about that.
Yeah, against the curse, too. Not even, like, pirates are a good faction. Yeah,
the only worst one would be mercenaries.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really bad. Yeah, it's just about, that just comes from the flavor text. I kind of like the artwork. It's kind of cool. It looks like some kind of like Crusades like artwork. I don't know. Or something from like the Dark Ages or medieval times. I don't know. Anyway.
Actually, I do something to add in really quick. Trevor Van Tyne is one of the few characters whose entire story I've cobbled together for the canon wiki.
Yep.
And it basically seems that he is sort of I guess, a white knight, because like multiple times in the canon, he seems to fall head over heels for some woman he's just met and dedicate himself to them, and it never really seems to work out for him.
Yeah,
which is kind of fun.
Yeah, his gameplay abilities don't really reflect too well either. Especially this one, it's not very good. So the artwork is better than the gameplay. So.
Although his Rise of the Fiends version is all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. The next one is Sir Edmund
Atkinson.
Yep. Linked to Mayfair. Like I said, this is just an 8-point possession crew. Nothing special. It's kind of funky that the English got this. Mostly a cursed ability. It's just, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. I think you basically summed it up.
Yeah, we're on a string here. We've got 3 awful named crew in a row, and their point costs go up by 2 each time. So it's like a new low for this. It's like a new low for the set.
Speaking of new low, we're about to talk about Marquez Miguel Antonio, who is 10 points. He's a common crew. Once per turn, the ship may look at 1 face-down treasure on any ship or island. I think that's like a 3 or 4 point ability. Actually, yeah, you know what this is? This is basically Devereaux from Revolution, only 3 points more expensive in Spanish.
Yeah.
So he's a home island raider and kind of a spy, but he's way too expensive.
Yeah. I think these abilities are worth 1 point for the spying, or maybe 2, and then 4 or 3 for the home island. So he should be about 5 points. The link is amusing because it doesn't work really. It's terrible. Yeah.
It'd be even funnier if Cervantes was like 9 points.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he looks pretty angry too. This Antonio guy, he's not happy. Probably because he got WizKids overcosted him, so he's not happy about that.
I'm never getting used.
Yep, exactly. And yeah,
Except
I
in Spanish.
remember. I don't know if it was 2016 or 15, but there was a thread. I don't know. We were talking about like least favorite named crew, and I think he got mentioned at least twice, maybe. So, anyway, and then next one though, we're gonna pick things up here. Commander Spencer Portland, 7 points. He's got the SAT ability, so 5 or 6, you get the same action twice on the ship, and then also this ship's crew cannot be eliminated unless she sinks. So it's a very good combo of abilities for the English. This is great for large gunships with a lot of cargo space to put a lot of crew on, so you can protect all of them at once and get the maximum value for the ability. So I usually like this on maybe HMS Dreadnought, maybe the Titan. The Shui Jian is a great one for him. So yeah, just very good combat abilities. He's a great crew to put on like a monster English gunship.
I've even used a sibling of this crew. OE Montana Maze is basically the same thing, except he links to all American ships. He is magnificent on the USS Layman. And to help me speed it along, we'll jump into Jean de Sailly, I think it's pronounced. We're now, I think, getting onto the French stuff. Black Mark for 6 points, and this is another L mover with the link to La Richelieu.
Yeah. I don't know, it gives the French an L mover, but other than that, I haven't really used him much, so.
Really creepy looking card.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, he's got vile experiments. And yeah, I mean, with Black Mark, it gives the the cursed access to like French ships in a way. So I guess that's pretty important, but I don't see that tactic actually used much. So
Black Mark but it's weird. Also kind of an expensive thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Black Mark's a kind of a confusing, strange keyword. And yeah, I meant pick it up in terms of like how good the crew were, but although we are taking a while, so we should probably double meaning there. We're on to the Spanish next. El Cristal del Obispo, 16 points for a 5-master with 5 cargo SS move. All the cannons are rank 3. There's a trio of 3 L's in the middle. And it ignores the first hit she takes each turn as long as she has all of her mats, so a nice defensive ability. This one I think is like slightly overrated in a weird way, but it is quite good. Usually good as a gunship. The Inquisitor is a solid link because she will win some boarding parties. It could be used as a hybrid too, so a pretty good 5-master for them.
Yeah, a pretty decent ship overall. It's a shame that it has that ability because it fails to make use of one of Spain's most interesting unique crew. But aside from that, yeah, it looks to be a decent hybrid, and I'd probably just throw on Rise of the Fiends Louison.
Yeah.
Let's see. Beyond El Obispo is Santo Colomba, which at 14 points, you get 4 masts, all of which are 2S guns. You get S+S move, 4 cargo, and it's S-board. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a middling hybrid with an okay ability.
Yeah, it's a decent gunship. It's kind of like a better version of the Brett Walda, in my opinion, because you have better speed and 1 more cargo with an ability that's, I don't know about better, but slightly more useful in my opinion. It's a good gunship. And then it does have a link that's totally silly though, because the linked crew also has S-board, but oh well. So the link doesn't even work at all. But pretty good gunship overall. So
wait, the linked crew has the same ability?
Yep.
Kids.
The next one is El Rafael. This one's kind of like the Spanish version of HMS Caradoc. 4-masted schooner, 5 cargo, L move. Cannons are 4L, 3L, 3L, 4L. Schooner, +1 to cannon rolls against the cursed. Nothing special here. I don't know. I don't really mind this one. I've kind of a soft spot. I might write a review on this one. I like the thought of like Captain Helmsman and then putting on some equipment or something, or maybe just Captain Helmsman doing a hybrid role. But it's nothing special, but it's okay.
The real mark against it as a hybrid is that it's just not well armed enough.
Yeah.
It has multiple rank 4s, and that's really hard to excuse on something that's meant to be a hybrid.
Yeah.
La Catedral del Mar is, I mean, okay, I guess it's well armed because it's it's a 13-point ship, 3 masts, all 2S guns, but it's only got L move, 3 cargo space, and its keyword is fear.
Silly. I don't know. It's okay. It's overpriced as like a pure firepower ship. Is what I see it as.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty solid with no fear at like 9 points, maybe.
Fearless.
Yeah, fearless, exactly.
Oh, that'd be an interesting ability that they forgot to add. Immune to fear.
Yeah.
Of course, that would probably cost like 8 points.
Oh, yeah, it'd be some ridiculous thing. See it on a crew for like 11, like counter the blinking 99 with this 11-point crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Return to Savage Shore version of Ralph David.
Yeah. The next one is Santos Romanos. 2 point, or no, not 2 points. 2-masted ship, 11 points, 2 cargo, SS move, 3S cannons. And it eliminates 2 masts with 1 hit, but I don't really like that on small ships because they're so fragile. It reminds me of like a long ship, but it's just not that good. I'd much rather get something like the Monte Cristo, the next ship. Better firepower, in my opinion, same cost, better durability. So
I would like to mention, though, you're not entirely wrong about it being 2 points if you read it as being Roman numerals.
Okay.
But I do have a little bit of a soft spot for these types of ships because I like the idea of a very small package housing a lot of firepower. And, I mind maybe a World Hater captain plus a musketeer is an okay setup.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But as you were saying with El Monte Cristo, which is 11 points, 3 masts, 2L, 2L, 2S, L move, 2 cargo space, and World Hater, that's another surprisingly punchy, cheap support gunship.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the older ships in my collection. I have a bad history of these falling apart. I have a bunch of duplicates and they all like broke. It seems like, I don't know, it's like a really fragile ship. Just for anybody who's about to build it that's listening. But yeah, it's just pure firepower, kind of like the Guy Fawkes the English got. Super good firepower and absolutely nothing else. So basic but good. The next one, El Cervantes, 3-masted schooner, 11 points, 5 cargo, L move, 4S, 4L, 4S cannons. Has schooner keyword and then S exploring. So if you're within S of an island, you can mark the island explored without docking at it. And then it becomes unexplored in regards to all other players. This one I just see as kind of a boring gold runner that could use the S explorer once in a while. Send her out to like the faraway islands with a helmsman, but she's not really fast enough to take advantage of the ability. So not a great ship.
Yeah, and the problem is if you do use her linked crew, which is kind of an okay pairing, you end up with the problem that you can't put a helmsman aboard because you've got 1 point left.
Yep.
Yeah. She's just kind of forgettable. El Martillo de Dios is a 2 point, or not 2 point, I've just done it, only this time it's actually 8 points. 2-masted ship, 4S, SL move, 3 cargo space, and +1 against ships previously shot at that turn. It's a good-looking ship, but it's also a terrible ship.
I don't think it's terrible. I think it's good as like an empty gold runner, but nothing else. I don't see any reason to put any crew aboard. So they still have better options like La Monarca, but if you're short on Spanish gold running options, just send it out emptied, and it's not going to be too bad. So
yeah.
The next one, El Pulpo, 2 masts, 10 points. 3 cargo, L move, 2S, 3S cannons, and then it's got a boring bonus, +2 against sea monsters, kind of like the See Him, just not very good at all, so I don't like this one. Reminds me of the Straw Man too, a little better, but not very good.
Yeah, that's really all there is to it. It's not especially well armed, it's kind of expensive, and has a bad ability.
Yeah, and it looks bad too.
Yeah. I'll jump onto El Raton next, which is one of the cheapest ships in the game. This is a 2-point ship. It's a 1-masted sloop with a 5L gun. Only 1 cargo space. SS move. This ship cannot carry crew.
It's actually 2 points. This is like our Albatross we were talking about.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. But okay. I would like to say I can see this ship being a sort of okay empty gold runner, provided you have Saboteurs Master Bianco in play, because that would give this 2 cargo spaces.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And also, it's not a great idea, but if you're really running low on points and you need firepower, you could do a flotilla. You could do Diablo with Raton for just 9. It's not a great combo, but it's like one of the cheapest flotilla tugs you could actually use. At a reasonable speed. It's not quick, but it's
an okay speed, and it's pretty good firepower for the cost.
Yeah, overall, yeah. Next one, the Inquisitor. Kind of a dramatic Spanish crew. He has Black Mark, and then the Massacre ability, like White Crew. So if you win a boarding party, you kill all the crew on the enemy ship. It links to a bunch of the ships. Probably the best one is the Cristal del Obispo, the 5 Master. We both agree that this ability should have been 5 points or so, or you think less, but it should have been cheaper either way. 7 is too much. So.
Although this one does have Black Mark, whereas the White Crew didn't. So it's probably a slightly better crew by virtue of having that as an option, but...
Yeah, the Curse could get some Spanish ships, I guess, like the Acorazado, I guess.
Oh, wait, that's an idea.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Strange.
El Curse de Acorazado or something.
Or the San Cristobal.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting. Don Osvaldo Guillen, I think?
Yeah.
I think that's how it's pronounced. Captain with S-board. And as you pointed out, his link is absolutely terrible because that ship already has S-board.
Yeah, so the link is bad.
Yeah,
there were a bunch of Captain S-boarders. It's alright. I just don't emphasize S-board. It's nice to have, but I don't really go out of my way to use it unless I'm using a 10 Master with like Captain Nemo aboard or maybe a Switchblade, something like that. The next one is Professor Severus Snape. He's 3 points. French crew, Black Mark keyword, and then the reroll ability, which is nice. Overall, it's a little nicer built into a ship, or maybe he links to. Oh my god! I just realized he links to a reroll or Godiva. So yeah, and this is another weird flavor. There's a lot of weird flavor text in this set, which makes sense because it's when the curse were introduced. He talks about how he's going to deliver Lady Godiva to the Voodoo King. But yeah, overall, it's another instance where Black Mark allows the curse to use some French ships. But yeah, reroll is good ability. So it's
also you could say that this is a way for the curse to get a reroll.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah. Great point. Yep.
Yeah, this is one of the other crew where I have managed to compile basically the story of him and all the characters relevant to him, but in the interest of time, I'll say go check out the wiki. Alright, so next up, no, not the Firepot Specialist, Le Charlemagne, which is what I called my dog Charlie for some time. It's a 5-masted ship for 15 points, 5 cargo space, SS move, 2S, 2S, 3S, 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 so it's not awesome armament. And it gets a pretty mediocre ability, which is, boarding roll bonus, and then +2 against sea monsters. The French have better.
Yeah, it's not great. It's, but it's pretty decent. It's okay as a hybrid. The armament is decent. It's just yet another good French 5-master. They don't have a lot of standouts in that category, which is fine. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. The next ship is much more interesting, though.
Yeah, absolutely. La Course is 4 masts, 17 points, 4 cargo, L move, 3S, 3L, 3L, 3S cannons, and then the ability of El Acorazado, 2 hits from the same shoot action are required to eliminate one of the ship's masts. So kind of like their version of the Acorazado, cheaper and smaller and not as offensive, but still a good ship. Very good, especially in the larger games when you can really beef her up with crew and protect her adequately.
Yeah, she's pretty cool, though I do wish the French had a better crew selection. We did talk about this recently. They do have some really good stuff,
Yeah.
but they also kind of lack anything unique. I think I've heard somebody describe them as kind of the least interesting faction. Yeah, I think she's a pretty good ship, let down by the fact that she would be better if she had more interesting crew options.
Yeah. I think they're decent. They have just enough to be quite competitive. I would put like Rotator Gentile de la Barbonai or maybe a SAT Captain or SAT or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up next is, I'm sure your favorite ship in the set, Le Bonaparte, which is, I guess we can simplify it by saying this is a 4-masted schooner, 16 points, all rank 3 guns, average cargo space, SL move, and it is one of only 2 4-masted ships in the game that has the ability that they can't be shot at by ships with an S of them.
Yeah, it's just silly. Oh well.
It's a game breaker.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know. On one hand, I wish it was only on ships like 2 mast or less, but even then, it just delays the game to try to measure out the move actions and stuff and try to keep track of it, like whether or not you're in range with outranked guns and stuff. It's just such a headache that I think they probably would have been better off with not doing this ability in the first place. So, oh well. The next one, I'm not going to pronounce it. 3 masts, 10 cargo, 4 spaces, L move. All the
Wait, did you say 10 cargo?
Oh, 10 points, 4 cargo. That would be
the French vouch one.
4 cargo. All 3 guns are 4Ls, and then it has SAT built in, which is really nice. And then it has a link to Godiva, who is a reroller, so it's a nice link. I think this is one of the most underrated French ships in the game. Maybe not overall, but in terms of French ships, kind of a hybrid or just potentially a very fast gold runner with a helmsman and SAT with reroll.
And even with just reroll, you have a 55% chance of an extra action-ish. Yeah. So I guess you could say, reasonably often you'll be moving LL. And that's not all that bad, all things considered. Yeah. Although you use your limit keyword.
Yeah, you could do helmsman, and then the reroll is free in this case. So you have, for 12 points, you have a ship with 3 spaces open, moving LS rather often. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, if you wanted, I'm sure it might be of some value to have a sort of proximity explorer, but that's, of course, of questionable value.
Yeah.
Next is Le Républicain, which is actually a pretty solid ship because 7 points gets you a 2-masted blockade runner with a pair of 2S guns, SS move, 2 cargo, and ramming cannot eliminate the ship's mast, which is more useful the smaller the ship gets. And this is almost as small as it gets. So it's a pretty decent, definitely fitting defensive ability on a well-armed ship that's just kind of an excellent little support gunship.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you summed it up well. This is one of my favorite French blockade runners, I guess. They got a decent amount of good ones. Yeah, absolutely. Good speed and guns for the cost and a good ability. The next one, La Versailles, 12 points, 2 cargo, 2L cannons, and then the ship's cannons may not be eliminated unless she sinks. If derelict, she cannot shoot. Here I would recommend Captain, Helmsman, Oarsman, because then the Oarsman will allow you to shoot when derelict, which is always fun. So it's not good. Yeah. It's not good for the price, but it's all right.
And it's a neat way to get access to the ability if you're going to copy it.
Yeah.
Le Richelieu, which I don't remember which it links to. Oh, Jean de Sailly, the creepy looking guy. So 10 points gets you a 3-masted ship that's 3S, 3L, 3S, L move, 4 cargo, and then faction ability. This is not really all that strong in this set. It just isn't.
Yeah, it reminds me of the French version of HMS Mayfair, but a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, but still not very good. So, yeah. It's
Mhm.
very meh overall. So,
Yeah.
the next one, like Duke de Ingen, I pronounced it. I got my
All
shot there.
hand?
What is it?
I'm guessing all hand.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea.
I'm getting that wrong.
Yeah, 3-masted schooner, 14 points, 3 cargo, SL move. All the cannons are 3L. Then it has a reverse captain. So this one's not too bad. It's very pricey for a 3-masted gunship option, but the speed and the cannons and reverse captain give you a decent package. A little underwhelming, but it is quick, which is probably the best asset here.
This reminds me of Gold Eagle from Rise of the Fiends, only it's a little bit cheaper and faster than that ship.
Yeah.
Overall better, but Gold Eagle's not amazing, and likewise this ship isn't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy, is this the longest name in the game?
Maybe by like letters per word. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. This is La Toussaint, Toussaint? Okay, La Toussaint L'Ouverture, which is a 7-point ship, 2 masts, which are 3S, 3L, L move, 3 cargo space. When the ship carries no cargo, she gets plus S to her base move. I think this qualifies as what you'd call an empty gold runner, but I would rather use La Intrépide.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with both of those things. Yep. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. It's not as obvious an empty gold run as seeing the other ship's visibility because the cannons are actually decent. So you could do like a little support gunship, but it's not. It lacks a good role. It's not a very good ship.
I would much rather use, for the same cost, Le Républicain as a support gunship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. Yep. The next
We spent more time talking about the name than its ability.
The next one is Le Rochefort. This one's a 1-masted sloop, 5 points, 3 cargo, L move, 3 L cannons. And then once per turn, this ship may look at any 1 face-down cargo on any ship, which is a nice ability. I like this one for the deal. I don't really know what crew I would put on. Maybe just a helmsman or nothing. But 3 cargo spaces for 5 points and a decent ability and a reasonable cannon. I think it's a solid package, actually.
It's a little bit scattered, but you can't ask for much more than this for 5 points anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Mademoiselle Godiva is a... we were talking about her earlier. She's a 0-point reroller, and she's linked to both another reroller for some reason, and La Heroica, which we already covered.
Yeah.
So should I just move on to Blackwatch?
Yeah, I think this might be Lily Potter, if you think about it.
Yeah, actually, she looks just like Lily Potter. Wait, only not like redheaded.
Yeah, not quite. Thematically.
Oh man, oh no, it's only a matter of time until somebody does a Pirates of Hogwarts set.
Oh my god, oh, we shouldn't have given the idea. Oh well, too late.
El Cazador, please no.
Exactly. Okay,
the super rare is going to be the monster that lives in the lake.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. Alright, anyway.
You treasure Fluffy.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna make this set now. I'm going to just to have fun.
Yeah, just as a joke. Yeah. Oh man. Custom ships will be busy, but that's good. So now we're into the Americans. The Blackwatch is one of the best pure firepower deals ever. 16 points gets you a 5-master with 4 cargo, L move. The cannons are 2L, 2L, 3L, 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 but then it has a world hater. So they're essentially 1L, 1L, 2L, 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 which is wicked good.
Especially for the cost.
Yeah, very powerful. I like to put Captain Helmsman at a minimum, of course. This is a good ship to use with equipment, the L range, and then accurate cannons like fire shot, exploding shot. But you could also put some American named crew aboard to make it even more devastating. So.
Yeah, like you could just put on one of their Eternal crew and give your opponents an incredible headache. Yeah, you could just do like Ralph David and an oarsman to guarantee yourself the ship won't be captured, which is always kind of a concern with ships that you hope to use Eternal on.
Yeah. I also love the artwork too. I think it's really awesome and mean looking in a good way.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's kind of unique because, as far as I know, all American ships prior to this set were all sort of light colors, and then along comes Blackwatch, which has all the star motifs but is black.
Yeah, the black sails is like piratey almost. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of their best ships. Kind of hard to argue.
Yep.
After that, Pickwad, which is, I'm pretty sure, a reference to Moby Dick.
Yep.
But not a terrible ship in its own right, but 14 points, so 4 master, 2S, 3S, 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 5 cargo L move, and then unfortunately it gets boarding roll bonuses against ships and sea monsters, which is just bad.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's okay. I had a friend that liked this one. He used it pretty effectively.
The book, you mean?
What?
Liked the book, you mean?
Oh no, not in this case. But it's decent. I do like the cargo and that 2S cannon at the front. This is a ship I feel like would be good with like specialists and equipment. Put a Firepot specialist on that 2S cannon. You got plenty of cargo to go kind of crazy with, extra weaponry, like Firepot Musketeer, or Captain Helmsman, Oarsman, or something. But the next one is Paul Revere. I absolutely love this one. It's one of my favorite American ships. I fell in love with her during Economy Edition when she performed quite well for the Americans. It's a 4-masted schooner, 15 points, 3 cargo, SL move. Cannons are 3S, 2S, 2S, 3S. And then along with the schooner keyword, it has S board, which I don't love, but built into a ship, it's kind of neat to have. It's definitely not a gold runner at all or a hybrid, but it's just a pure gunship. The speed is the best asset, but the cannons and S board come in pretty handy as well. And I love the artwork, so it's a really nice ship overall.
Don't forget the link, which is to Chief Petty Officer Charles Richard, who's a world hater. A linked world hater is not bad.
I don't think I've used that link, but it is a good one. Yep. And then there's actually the OE version I think would count. And he's captain with +1 to boards. Then you could go really crazy with boarding with him.
Oh, yeah. That's... Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good link overall.
I think those are pretty good. I might have to look into that later, because, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. After that is Mohican, which is one I think is overlooked by most people, but I've used in a home island raiding fleet. Mohican is 11 points, L move, 2S, 2L, 2S for cargo, and then crew of any nationality may use their abilities on this ship. Now, what I did with this is I put Grim the Savage from Frozen North on this ship, because that's a home island raider that can take as much as the ship can carry.
Yeah.
I think I combined that maybe with a cargo master on another ship, and then a helmsman, and then Frontier. So I was basically able to take 9 cargo from an enemy home island in a matter of 3 turns, and then run away with it. Not super fast, but...
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though. Yeah. I see it... that's a good usage. I haven't really used the ability too much. I see it mostly as a pretty good firepower deal. Mostly as a gunship with maybe extra cargo for a Firepot specialist or for maybe some coins. But it's a very good ship. I think it's one of the more underrated American ships, and one people should look into more. It's quite good.
I agree with you. I would like to add that because the ship already has it's basically like a competitive 3-masted hybrid. The only thing that you'd need to really pay a lot of attention to is her kind of subpar move speed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she needs her pumps.
Yeah, I think very highly of that ability. Anyway.
Yeah. The Dark Fox is next. This one's not so good. This one's also 11 points, but it's 2 masts, 1 cargo, SSS move. The cannons are 5L, 5L, and it has fear. So it's terrible. I guess Flotilla Tug, that's about it. There's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any American cancelers or anything like that, it could almost be paired with Minuteman and then kind of used to do some weird debuff stuff.
Yeah.
it may be a place to put Jerky Johnson if you felt like using it as a as a shepherd.
That makes sense.
But yeah, aside from that, I've never used this ship, and I'm not sure I can think of any other uses for it.
Yeah, pretty good.
Here's another instance of Saratoga. I don't know how many versions of Saratoga there are, and they have varying numbers of masts too, which is kind of funny. But this one is 10 points, all 4L guns on 3 masts, 4 cargo, L move. If she's a captain, she gets +1 to her cannon rolls. If she had 3L guns, she'd probably be okay or passable, but as is, she's just not very good.
Yeah, I think it's okay as a hybrid, but when you can get the Mohican for 1 more point, there's not a lot of reason to use her. So
yeah.
And both, I would say the other 2 versions of Saratoga are both better. So
agreed.
The next one is Swamp Fox. This one's not very good, but I have a soft spot because it was one of my first American ships and one of my first schooners, or well, not really first schooner, but I like this one. 3 masts, 12 points, 2 cargo, SS move. Cannons are 3S, 3L, 3S. Schooner, broadsides attack. A silly link to George Washington LeBeau, who's an L mover. I would just do Captain Helmsman and then just try to get lucky with broadsides. So it's not very good, but it's kind of fun once in a while.
It's like there's a lot of stuff that you could. I mean, like we were saying, you could get Mohican for 1 point less, and Mohican would actually be better at delivering broadsides attack because Mohican has lower rank guns.
Yep.
All right. Brandywine is the next ship, and Brandywine is I struggle to find the purpose for. Maybe an okay empty gold runner if you have the American Cargo Master in play. But if not,
it's just like a support scout gunship, sort of. I don't know.
Yeah, very very nice artwork though, which is kind of makes it a shame that they wasted it on such a bad ship.
Yeah. The speed. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's too bad. It could really use more cargo though. The ability, speed, and guns aren't too bad, but overall it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, if it had 4, it would be a seriously competitive choice for an empty gold runner.
Yeah. The Hessian is next. The Americans get a sloop with canceling, which is important. Once per turn, one crew or ship with an S of the ship cannot use its ability that turn. 9 points, 4 cargo, L move, 2S cannon. I love this one. I think it's incredibly underrated. I usually would do some kind of support canceller. I play a lot of huge games where cancelers are very important, so this ship would factor into a squadron with that. In most games, though, you could maybe have like a defensive gold runner, because then you'd have, with a helmsman, 11 points for 3 cargo, LS move, a good cannon, and then you can cancel anything that comes close. So it's a pretty good ship overall.
Yeah. Do cancelers work? Are you able to activate the ability when it's not your turn?
Yeah, like when a captain comes into range. Yep.
Oh, interesting. So somebody go, oh, well, I'm gonna blast you out of the water, and then you go, you've activated my trap card.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's. I wonder if I have that ship, because that would be a fun one to use.
Yeah.
I'll skip on to Jonas Richmond, who looks, is he Amish or Puritan? Oh, I don't suppose it matters. He's 5 points. He's a 5-point captain with a faction-specific ability, and that's terrible.
Yeah, it's not, there's not much point. 4 points, he could be kind of niche against, like, people who use the cursed a lot, maybe.
Yeah, if you had, what is it? If you, like, used trap unique treasures like Gem of Hades and Red Flag.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm going to build a fleet like that at some point, but it may be some time before it's uploaded, but yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. He's a very forgotten about American crew. Like, I feel like nobody knows he exists. Anyway. Okay, so now we're done with the main ships and crew of the set. We're under the UTs, Unique Treasure. Livestock is the first one. Load this treasure face down. You may reveal it after the ship is ran by a sea monster, but before any boarding roll is made. When revealed, move the boarding sea monster to the nearest island. Remove livestock from the game. It's just awful. Wolf wrote a review about it. You could check out for more information, but it's just a terrible UT. So I'll be right back, by the way. So you can just keep going, too.
All right. Yeah, as Ben said, livestock is really bad. Not only because it's niche, even assuming that there are sea monsters in play, but, you know, that kind of relies on sea monsters to be in play, which they usually aren't because they're kind of not good. Martyr's Amulet, we were talking about niche abilities. All cannon rolls made by cursed ships against this ship are reduced by 1. Yeah, this is another one where you kind of have to rely on there being either certain... it's a faction ability in unique treasure form, and that's its problem. So I'm going to skip from that onto Monkey's Paw. Once per turn, when an enemy ship is given a shoot action to shoot at this ship, her controller chooses one of her cannons within range. That cannon automatically hits. They did something on the inverse of this in Mysterious Islands. This is kind of an interesting unique treasure, but also because it's situational, it's not going to be used all that often by anyone. If you want kind of a nasty negative ability, you're more likely to go with Wolves or Missionary. There's a heck of a lot of kind of much nastier stuff to inflict upon people, even like Albatross or Pandora's Box. I basically can't really see a use for Monkey's Paw.
Yeah, it's okay. I actually used it in CG1, Campaign Game 1 on Vassal. You can actually use this with Carbon Charlie to turn it into a cannon, which is really weird.
Wait, what? What?
It just says treasure. It doesn't say treasure with a gold value. So you can put
That's
negative
true.
keys that are still on the ship and put them, I don't know, you can turn the Monkey's Paw into a metal cannon, I guess. So, yeah.
That is interesting, although I also kind of... how much value is there in putting in a weird situational UT that just to turn it into a gun?
No, it wasn't on purpose. It was, I think Xerix put it into the mix, and then...
it just kind of... It happened.
Yeah, exactly. And then my English found a bunch of them. I think I did it with something else, too. I can't remember what. And then I had Carbon Charlie on the Dreadnought or whatever to make a ton of cannons, and I was like, well, I can do this with the UT, so it's a good way to eliminate it. Because some of them say they can't be unloaded, but then if you eliminate it, that's not unloading it, and then you get rid of it. So it's kind of a nice counter, I guess.
Interesting.
Very, very niche, but still kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martyr's Amulet, I don't think I've used, and
I said it was a faction ability in unique treasure form, and for that reason, it was garbage.
Yes, and it's not very interesting or good. So,
yeah. But next up is Witch's Brew, which I read and I went, this is something I wish I'd put into my Foghopper fleet.
Well, you still could edit it, yeah.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Because
it takes the whole action, which makes it a little bit tougher.
Oh yeah, instead of... Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not so good then. Although, I mean, there's probably a situation where it would be useful.
Yeah.
Does it take up any space though?
Nah, because it's face up, so nope.
Okay. Yeah, then I guess it would be... it would probably be useful in some situations, but most of the time I'd rather have a Sea Hag with a captain and a smoke pot specialist.
Yeah.
Just drop one as it moves.
Yep.
Because that way you can move and you don't waste the turn.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, Witch's Brew is one I've had for a long time. I used it a bunch in my games from 2011, 2012, which feels like a long time ago to me. I haven't used it the past few years, so I might try to use it more often. It's kind of a weird UT that's like gone out of style in my collection or something. But anyway, I've had a few good times with it, but it's not actually super great. The next one is pretty interesting. This one I've used a bunch.
Probably OP.
Yeah, Maps of Hades says, once per turn before the ship is given an action, roll a d6 and a result of 5 or 6. The opponent to your right may give the ship a move action. If he or she does, the ship may not be given another action that turn. So if you get... I
misread that.
Yeah, it's a negative UT, and then if you get unlucky, your opponent to the right can move your ship instead of you. So this is part of my mind control fleet, which is based on like controlling enemy ships and stuff. But overall, it's a pretty cool thematic UT. that can wreak pretty good havoc overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that somebody's looked into that form of gimmicky fleet, because I think you said it's turned out to be pretty effective, which is kind of nice to hear, because there are a lot of gimmicky fleets that don't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that gimmicks for the win thread at some point, but I haven't started it yet. So.
Yeah, once you do, I'll have to see what I can add. I know a lot of my fleets go a little bit afoul of the rules, especially when I try to use gimmicks and other stuff, but anyway, Holy Water is no enemy ability can affect this ship or her crew. So it's like an anti-canceller, and it's probably pretty effective in big games, I'm guessing, provided that it's found by a ship that can use it to good effect.
Kind of, yeah. I haven't used it a ton. It's like Davy Jones' Heart from the Caribbean set. I will say these are incredibly confusing, these two UTs. Wolf kind of outlined, I think, for the first time, basically, some of the errata around them. It's very, I don't know, it's pretty confusing what is affected by this and what is not. I kind of just stay away from it because it's kind of weird. I don't know. There's a lot of gray area, and it leads to a lot of rules questions and stuff. So I think they either should have worded it differently or maybe done something else with it. It's kind of weird and confusing. So it can still be pretty good defensively, but it's kind of just a headache in my opinion. The next one, Sunken Treasure. This one I don't find very good. When revealed, roll 2d6. The total is how much gold Sunken Treasure is worth. At the beginning of each turn, reduce that value by 1 until Sunken Treasure is either reduced to 0 gold or is unloaded at your home island. Sunken Treasure takes up 2 cargo spaces. So, just haven't used this one a lot. I don't really want to. It's not loaded face down, so you have to take it if you find it, which can be pretty debilitating because it takes up 2 spaces. And you're totally relying on the luck. I mean, you know, immediately you think, ooh, I could get 12 gold, but realistically, you're going to get like a roll of like 3 and 2 for 5, and it's going to go down. So you're much better off taking 2 regular coins most of the time. So I don't really see this as a positive UT. I almost see it as like a negative.
I'd want to use this like, yeah, it's probably mostly negative, but what if you could use it with Runes of Thor and Nemo's Plans somehow?
Of course,
yeah, that's kind of making too many assumptions, because you'd need to find both of those before you find this.
Yeah.
And you'd need to find both of them.
Yeah.
So,
that'd be like 1 in 100 chance, probably. Yeah.
Probably lower than that.
Yeah. You could use a reroller, I guess, to reroll one of the dice, but it's still not worth it, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, you're probably in a situation where it's probably a neat novelty for new players.
Yeah. It's intriguing when you see it, but then once you use it, it's pretty debilitating.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it's like when you find it, it's like ooh, and then you're like, oh
gold.
crap, this is actually
no, 3.
Yeah, I know this is not good. I don't want to find this anymore. So
yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, I might have to use that if it's in my collection then.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eye of Insanity I'd actually like to talk about quite a lot. I mentioned this earlier, but I put it off until now. At the beginning of each of your turns, choose a target crew on this ship, then choose a cursed crew in play. The target can use the cursed crew's ability that turn instead of its own. You may make a different choice each turn. This is incredibly powerful to me because you can use it to copy Davy Jones's copier ability.
Yep, exactly.
So by proxy, you can use this to copy any ability in the game, provided Davy Jones is in play.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's incredible. One way I like to use it is the other version of Davy Jones too, because you can have 2 all-powerful in your same fleet, which is part of the idea behind my mind control fleet, because I have, I think it's the Rover, which is like a 2-point pirate ship with like a shipwright or something. And then if the idea is to get this on the Rover, and you basically have all-powerful on the Rover to try to roll 6s to control the enemy fleet with 2 all-powerfuls. And you could also use it to get like 2 copiers in your fleet. So yeah, Eye of Insanity is incredibly good. It's wicked. It's really cool. It can be OP in a way, but like to find it and then utilize it effectively takes a lot of effort. So I think it's a really great UT they added. It's really fun and cool. So the next one, Curse Conch. Oh, these are ironic. They're next to each other because these are the two I combined in Command the Ocean to form the Eye. But Curse Conch says, instead of giving the ship an action on your turn, you may give a sea monster an action, even if it is not part of your fleet. So this one is really great when you're playing with sea monsters, especially if your opponent was using it to find it before they do. That would probably annoy them a lot. This one, one of the iconic stories of my early playing days was a key pivotal game piece in a 2011 cumulative game I played, pretty much the first campaign game, huge game I played, because I didn't have any sea monsters, so I just gave it basically, it just said you may give a ship an action as a house rule, kind of like Davy Jones getting a 6, but it was guaranteed. So so it was super powerful, and almost every faction in the game fought for it and stuff, and this UT alone triggered this chaos end game. It was amazing. So I love that game so much. It's one of my favorite battle reports, but even with just sea monsters, like it says in the text, it's still a pretty cool UT, and it can be powerful depending on what your opponent brings to the table. And then, are you there or no? I think you got cut off again. Okay, so we're back.
I kind of hope that line made it in.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay.
It seems, so we're making jokes about how we seem to be cursed tonight because we're encountering a lot of technical difficulties after trashing the cursed in their ships and sea monsters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said it all, and I might have had something to say, but I've forgotten it. So yeah, Curse Conch is, as you were saying, it has a potential to be crazy effective if you make that house rule with it. Yeah. But I'm not sure I'd use this if I were using, say, a sea monster fleet, even if it was, one built around giving my own monsters extra actions, because of the potential of an opponent finding it and turning it on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of deploying UTs that don't have that have a strong chance of affecting me negatively.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then probably the most important UT out there for sea monster enthusiasts, Chariot of the Gods. Place this treasure on the nearest sea monster. It may now be assigned one crew per the transfer rules, which has a lot of really interesting potential, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, I've hardly used it at all, I don't think at all. I don't remember if I have it in my physical collection yet. And the Vassal module doesn't have sea creatures yet, so... But yeah, it has a lot of potential, so I just haven't used it. So.
Yeah, actually, wait, that reminds me. Something I'm not sure I've asked. I might have. But if Chariot of the Gods is in play, and somebody finds Pandora's box, doesn't matter who, are you allowed to bring in is somebody who didn't play Chariot of the Gods allowed to bring in another copy into play and basically put it on a sea monster immediately?
Yeah, that sounds right to me, because Pandora's box, you can bring in pretty much anything. So yeah. I'll check the code real quick, but yeah, that's basically legal.
Yeah, and likewise, I'd also want to know if it does say in the code, if somebody who played the original copy of Chariot of the Gods can bring in a new one. That one I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, it looks like it. A UT chosen for this ability, Pandora's Box, may duplicate one that is already in play and or one that has been chosen by a preceding player. The no duplicates rule applies to UTs only when placed in the treasure pool during setup. So if you could get collusion with other players, you could bring in 4 of them in a multiplayer game or something. Have a sea monster war.
I mean, I don't think you could really get collusion with them. So
I know. I mean like teammates and stuff like that, or I don't know, some kind of agreement.
But still, that would allow you to, in theory, have 2 crewed sea monsters in a single game on your own, as part of your own fleet.
Yeah.
Assuming nobody else is using them, and odds are nobody else is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to write that one down, too. But let's see, we're going to have to scroll through all the generic to get to the super rares.
Yeah, I'm next. Behemoth is the first of the super rares. 5-segment squid. It's cursed, 19 points, no cargo space, L move. All the tentacles are 2S, all 5 of them. Sea monster, limit keyword, and then the copier ability, just like Davy Jones. So this is the second and final iteration of the copy ability. Here it's not quite as versatile as on a crew, of course, but still quite good. Copying Captain makes Behemoth usually the best sea creature in the game, or sea monster, I should say. You could also copy a lot of cool things like Longship keyword to get 10 cannons firing at 2S, or maybe Namazu's
or something that hits twice as hard.
Yeah, or Namazu's ability.
Ooh, yeah.
To have 2 of those. That's what I did in Command the Oceans, so it's pretty crazy. Or fog hopping. That's a good one too, actually.
Yeah, I've actually used this ship this sea monster with a setup built around it. I had a flotilla and one of those ships that eliminates 2 mass with 1 hit.
Yeah.
I think, but what I did was I copied the extended range keyword. The idea was that I could either strike from afar, or I could hit for basically 10 masts worth of damage. Yeah. But unfortunately, I chose the absolute worst time to attack. There's an enemy using one of my friends was using, I think, Renanoidia. Is that the one, the type that eliminates 2 with 1 hit?
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, I only landed 2 hits.
Yeah.
And then he came in and, because I think I'd already taken a hit, knocked out Behemoth.
Yeah.
Which I was a bit salty about.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Behemoth, fun fact, is I think the only ship in the game, using the term ship loosely, to have the limit keyword.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I want to say there's a lot of interesting stuff that we haven't quite yet figured out that can be done with this ability.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But at the same time, wait. Escorting, maybe, while submerged?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Even though that's of limited value. Mistwalker is I think possibly the last unit ever released to get LL base move. But anyway, Mistwalker is a sea serpent, so a 4-segment sea monster, 14 points, LL move like I mentioned, 2L, 3S, 3S, 2S, and it's a fog hopper. It's also got this really cool skeletal, transparent look to it.
Yep.
I integrate this as part of my fog hopper fleet concept. But that's about all I have to say about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. As far as sea monsters go, it's one of the best because of the speed, the guns, so to speak, and the fog hopping ability. It's a nice combo. And all for a cheap point cost. This feels like something WizKids would cost at like 18 points, or
21.
Yeah, but 14 is quite playable. It's nice. So it's a really good one overall. Not quite as good as Behemoth.
Or Ophidius.
What?
I'd say Ophidius is probably better overall from Savage Shores, but I guess we'll get to that in another few months.
Yeah. The next one is the Super Crew Screaming Mimi. Pretty crazy artwork. L Mover, basically. So this was the first of 2 super rare cursed crew with L moving, the later being Tabitha Quarren from Fire and Steel. So I like this crew on the Fiddler's Green for reroll, but it's a good ability for the curse to have.
It's interesting how it's linked to such a bad ship.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's linked to a common ship, but it's a super rare crew.
Yeah, that's neat, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of super rare packs had crew that were linked to the super rare ship.
Yeah, but not many.
But, yeah, not this one. That's weird. Yeah. The Red Skull is next. The Red Skull is unique treasure from the Super Rare Pack. This ship and any crew aboard her belong to the Cursed Nation instead of their nation. I guess I'll spill the beans. I do plan on using this plus the Gem of Hades with Cursed Faction bonus ships and crew at some point to make a sort of padded out just something meant to sort of sabotage enemy gold runners and make them easy prey for whatever I end up deploying against them. Haven't figured out all the details, but it'll be a bunch of cursed faction abilities.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one I haven't really used much, but it is an interesting concept, definitely. One crazy thing is you could house rule it to, like, make them to the cursed player. I know that's way OP and doesn't make sense, but, like, somebody's playing as the cursed and somebody else gets the Red Skull, like, to, like, give up your ship to the cursed player because they're, like, cursed. Anyway.
We commandeer your ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worse than wolves or missionary.
Yeah. The next one is Fool's Gold. We're into the special edition box ships. 4 masts, pirate ship, 12 points, 4 cargo, L move, 3L, 3S, 3S, 3L guns, and then once per turn, can randomly take a treasure from any ship she touches. This one strikes me as kind of like an average or below average hybrid. Not too great.
As I think we'll be seeing with basically all the SE box ships ever, because they really, almost all of them are pretty boring.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's a standard 4-master, pretty average with, I'd say, a subpar ability. I've seen better SE ships.
Me too, yep.
Yeah. We'll talk about Electric Eel next, which is 1 point more expensive. 13 points, 3 cargo space, SS move, 3S, 3L, 3L, 3S. This ship may dock at an enemy home island, load 1 treasure. It's a home island raider, but it has less cargo space, but it's faster and more expensive.
Yeah. I don't see this one as very interesting. It's just not good enough, really.
Yeah. It just doesn't have any really good attributes.
Yeah. If it was cursed, it would stand out a little bit more, but not really. It's the pirates. Next one is Boneyard. The cursed 4 masts, 14 points, 4 cargo, L move. Cannons are 4S, 4S, 3S, 4S, and it has fear. This one is just very disappointing and boring and not good.
Yeah, it's like even significantly worse than Monkey's Paw from South China Seas.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I think that one. I think you underrate that one. I think it's pretty solid. This one's terrible though. So
yeah, I mean that to say that, like, regardless of, Monkey's Paw is probably a little bit too expensive, but it's still an okay ship.
Yeah.
This one is way too expensive and just not a good ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At least Boneyard is a cool looking ship though. Drowned Man is next. It's even more expensive. It has a similarly not so good ability. It's 16 points, 3 cargo, SS move, 3S, 3L, 3L, 3S, and it's a ghost ship. No, that's, again, super average, but also way too expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for the cursed, I guess it's a decent 4-masted gunship because they don't really have many. They don't have a lot of quantity for 4-masted square rigged ships, but it's not that good. So, The next one, now we're getting into the SE box ships that were more common and the ones that I have. The Black Diamond and Broken Key, the next two, those are my 2 original pirate flagships because I didn't pull any Pirate 5 Masters in my first packs from 2005 and 6. But the Black Diamond is 14 points for 4 masts, 4 cargo, L move. Cannons are rank 3. And then if you win a boarding party, you can take all the gold up to like ships available cargo space. So nothing to write home about, really. Just like a really average meh hybrid.
Yeah, like we've said, that ability, while it's better to have as part of a ship, you have to have it on a fast ship, and this is not one.
Yeah, and something that has like preferably at least 5 spaces. So then you can still
definitely.
take 3 coins after Captain Huntsman.
Probably the most interesting of all of them is Broken Key, the next one. It's, again, super average in most ways. 13 points, 3 cargo, SS move, and all 3S guns. It has broadsides attack. So, I mean, it's interesting by virtue of being the most extreme of all of them, though I wouldn't call it good because there are better broadsides attack 4-masted ships in this set.
Yeah.
Bretwalda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one's not too good. I just like it because I like the artwork a lot. I think it's kind of underrated. It's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Kind of a neat little gimmick on the name and stuff. I would disagree with you a little bit. I think the next two are a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
HMS Richards is English, 4 masts, 13 points, 4 cargo, L move, all 3 L cannons, but then has World Hater. Basically, it has all 2 L cannons. So this is actually a pretty solid English gunship. Nothing like the London or Gallows, but it's pretty solid option for them.
Yeah, you got me there. That one is it's nothing special for the English, but that's because the English are so blessed with choices in that point cost as far as 4-masted gunships go. And if you look at it objectively, it's still a really good ship.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I got one like this earlier. Okay, the art on Nightmare is really good. This is like this cloudy, ghostly, tattered ship. Yeah. Probably one of the best implementations of that aesthetic I've seen. But it's not good. It's 16 points, cursed ship, 4 cargo, SS move, 4S, 3L, 3L, 4S, ghost ship, 2 expensive ability, 2 poorly armed, 2 expensive.
Yeah, very similar to the Drowned Man, but probably a tiny bit worse. At least it's better than the Boneyard, but yeah, the artwork is cool. Another ghost ship for the curse. So next one. Now we're into the LEs, limited editions. For Davy Jones Curse, these were quite rare and they're expensive nowadays.
And some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, some of them are decent. Not quite like South China Seas. That had great LEs, and they're common, so it's a double win. But the Curse number 200 for the Curse is the Howl, 2-masted blockade runner, 11 points, SS move, 3L cannons, and then it's a fog hopper, so that's kind of neat. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly as good as the Hangman's Joke, but it gives them another fog hopping option to increase the strength of those like squadrons. I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is funny kind of anecdote. I don't know how. I think I was one of the only customers that bought Pirates from the shop that I got it from. But at some point when I was buying Davy Jones Curse packs, I must have been given, because I was a young kid or something, I must have been given an LE pack, like by the store, complimentary, because I have Howl and I think 1 or 2 of the others that would have come with it. And that was kind of boring. But yeah, Howl, as far as ships go, if you're building a fog hopper fleet, she's pretty much elemental. She's still nothing amazing, but I mean, you can do worse.
Yeah.
The
needle is worse.
Yeah, actually, no, there are definitely worse among Davy Jones LEs, but we'll get to those.
Yeah.
El Pluton is a Spanish. So the way these work is, I think it's going to be 6 blockade runners, 6 1-masted galleys, and then 6 turtle ships. I think.
That's
I might have the order wrong.
That looks like it.
Yeah. But El Pluton is another blockade runner. 7 points, 1 cargo space, L move, 2 4S guns, and the ability is this ship gets plus L to her base move if she has all her masts. Okay, fast, but what do you do with that?
I don't know. There's not much. Yeah. Just I guess empty Gold Runner, that's all I can think of, but it's still not very good. So.
Well, wait, okay. I'm trying to do something here. If you have a cargo master in play, you could put a captain and a helmsman and explorer aboard, and then use her as a super fast advanced scout.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or you could do just the helmsman, use the explosives UT, and then just make her a suicide ship.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
Even then, though, you've only got a 50-50 chance of it working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, tough one to use. The next one is Black Gentleman.
Racist.
Pirate. Pirate, 2 master, 13 points, 3 cargo, L move. Cannons are 2S, 2S, and then it has Fear, and can randomly take a treasure from any ship she touches. This one's not really too bad. It's just wicked expensive for what you get. I would put maybe Hammersmith aboard and then have like a little hybrid, but for 18 points, it's not a good deal. I would say this is one of the least famous ships in the game, because most of these other LEs I've either seen in like a fleet challenge or at least mentioned somewhere. I would say the Black Gentleman is like one of the least famous ships ever. Like nobody's ever heard of it, basically. So
I would agree with you, because I get the impression that I've never actually read this ship's stats before.
Yeah, I think I only did like 2 or 3 years ago, which for me is weird. So
yeah. Next up is Moorhound, which is probably also close to as infamous, or not infamous, but close to as unknown. But I actually have this. I think I got this one off of eBay or something for cheap at some point.
Yeah, I used it in a random fleet, I think, for English too. So yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the most expensive 2-masted ships in the game that's not a long ship. Actually, even among long ships, because this is a 15-point blockade runner. Its cargo space is to move as SS, 3L3S guns. And the reason why it's so crazy expensive is because it has the ghost ship keyword.
Yeah.
What do you do with this?
I don't know. I think I used it. I don't know. I think it was to satisfy some fleet challenge requirement, or it was like a garbage fleet that you passed to the player to your left or whatever.
Yeah.
So, don't really do anything with it. I think I thought it was a fog hopper at one point, which would be funny, but I want to say it's the only English ship with ghost ship, so it does have that going for it, but
that's
not
true.
Really,
ghost ship is not an amazing keyword.
Yeah, that's not much to write home about, so, oh well.
Yeah.
Next one, P. Sanglante, French, blockade runner and 2 masts, 7 points, 3 cargo, L move, cannons are 3S, 3L, and it says cursed crew can use their abilities on this ship. I mean,
not good.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do with that. Maybe an extra L mover for the French, but not much.
Yeah, that's like the only use for it I can think of. That plus a captain.
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know, I guess you could do like an L booster for like Lurker to Seuss, but that's not a good, that's so silly stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a really not, it's a little bit too expensive for what it is. This should be like a 6-point ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, although if it were a 6-point ship, you couldn't fit both a captain and one of those crew on it. So I guess it's like the one. It's like it'll be used maybe twice ever.
Yeah.
That's it. And then just like it, right below it, we have Salem, which is basically the American version of that. It has the same ability Cursed Crew may, but it's 8 points, 4 cargo, SS move, and 3S cannons. So I guess it's probably a little bit better overall.
Yeah.
It's faster, has usable cargo space.
Yeah. I actually weirdly like this one. I don't know, it just stands out to me. I like it. I think it's decent.
Wait, I do have an idea for this one.
Yeah, what is it?
So, not that you necessarily would need... Yeah, actually, wait. American Cargo Master in play, so cargo space goes up to 5. Throw Master Scribe plus a Helmsman aboard.
Yeah, that's a good one. Huh.
Then you've got a really fast Gold Runner that also is leaving, trade currents in its wake.
Yeah, that's a solid idea. Yeah, this is one I think has some potential. I'm trying to think of other cursed name crew that would be good for it. You do something really weird, like sack Captain Phantasma, make it a good ship. Or I kind of like just a basic hybrid, though. It's not a terrible option, so it's a solid ship. It's not too bad. Kind of underrated, I think. Now we're getting into the really terrible ones. First is La Desesperanza, a Spanish ghost ship. It's 14 points for a 1-mast galley, 2 cargo spaces. SSS move, 4S cannon. Other than expensive flotilla tug, there's nothing to do with this really.
Actually, I do have one idea that might almost redeem this ship.
Yeah.
What is it? So my idea is put Savage Shores, Master Bianco, and Rise of the Fiends. Rise of the Fiends, Dominic Freda. Okay. Then you've got a ship that basically can't be rammed, can't be boarded, but moves 3S, ignores terrain, and has 4 cargo space. So it's a really stupid, expensive ship that can still be disabled with 1 shot. But I guess it's not totally irredeemable, but it's still pretty weak.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of amusing, I guess.
Yeah, it's just fun to come up with like something that you can almost go, yeah, I can see you doing that. Now actually do it instead of just like theoretically.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what an innocuous name for the next ship named Dance. It's a cursed ship, so you know that name is kind of tongue-in-cheek because it's 10 points for a 1-masted galley, has a 2S gun, L move, 2 cargo space. If this ship succeeds at boarding party, she may eliminate all of the other ship's crew. That's one hell of a dance you're doing there.
Yeah.
But I guess you wouldn't call it the safety dance.
No.
But I mean, well, I guess you could because you can safely say this ship is never going to win a boarding party because it's a 1-masted ship.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one, Blackgate, is English.
Bad too.
1-masted galley, 5 points, 2 cargo spaces, SS move, 3L cannon, and cursed crew can use their abilities on the ship, which is pretty much irrelevant. This one, there's nothing good about it really, but the point cost makes it reasonably useful, or not useful, but just it's playable, unlike the others. It's still not very good though.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw First Mate Ismail aboard and use it as a sort of empty gold runner, but at 8 points, there's a lot you can do in terms of better options.
Mm-hmm.
After Blackgate is La Discorde. Well, this is strange. So this is an 11-pointer, 3S gun, L move, 3 cargo, and you know, like all these we've been talking about, it's a 1-masted galley. It gets fear and a boarding roll bonus, which is really strange. It's not very good, but it's one of the more interesting ones.
Yeah, I don't really like it. It's just terrible for the cost. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem useful at all. I don't know why I would board with it. I don't know what I would be doing in that case.
Yeah.
It's like maybe after you run out of options, you could do it. I don't know. The next one is funny. Burning Man, American ship, 1-masted galley, 14 points, 2 cargo, L move, 2L cannon. Has the ghost ship keyword, so it's kind of like the Death's Esperanza, but it's really way
much slower.
Yeah.
For only 1 point less. Wait, or is it the same cost?
Same, yeah, same. So you
oh wow, I'm glad I have that 2L gun instead of speed on a 1-masted ship.
Yeah, you can make a pretty good case that this is one of the worst American ships in the game, if not the worst. I use this in the I use this in the garbage fleet challenge when you make the worst fleet you can and pass it to the player. So this was like the flagship of that fleet, I think, or something like that. So.
Put Commodore Peregrine Stern aboard this.
No, that's way too useful. I gave it like something, I don't know, like Stinkbot shot and something else. So yeah.
Well, the reason why I say that is because, you know, you at least because it's more sadistic, you get your opponent's hopes up.
Oh. Yeah.
You go, oh yeah, we got a captain that can get extra actions. We got a boarding roll bonus, and then you just ram the ship and disable it anyway.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, it's a ghost ship, so you might not be able to do that.
Yeah, that challenge was so competitive though that like that would be way too good to like use like an extra action crew. It's like you can't win the fleet challenge. It's like way too good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like awful stuff everywhere. Like you couldn't win.
I really do have to try that with my family then sometime. All right. Let's see. After Burning Man, which I would love to find a use for, but I'd have to really pour through the mechanics affected by Ghost Ship to see what I can manipulate, which is probably nothing. You get Judas, which is, I think, just like Blackgate above, except it's pirate. You get more, I think. So, all right, so here's Judas. It's 5 points, 4S gun, L move, 3 cargo space, cursed crew may use their abilities, blah, 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 nobody cares. Maybe you could throw Gentleman Joke card or a Helmsman aboard and then use it as an empty gold runner, but that still strikes me as kind of a waste of points.
Yeah, I'd actually rather just send it out empty with no crew. Save the points for someone else. Yeah. Still not good, though. The next one is the Dungeon.
Turtle ships.
Yeah, a pirate turtle ship, 1 mast, 10 points, 1 cargo. It's fast. SSS move, 3S cannon, turtle ship, and fear. There's not many uses. I don't know. I mean, maybe like protect Calypso at your own home island or something, but there's not really a good use for this. Maybe a flotilla, but there's still better options. So, like the Raven would be way better. So,
a captain or a named captain aboard it. Okay, this is probably not as good an idea as I'm playing with, but El Phantasma from this set, what do you think?
He's cursed, right? So it would have to be one of the pirate versions.
Oh, wait, never mind. Scratch that. Okay, yeah, probably just a one I thought of is what's his name? Captain Jack. It's inspired by Captain Jack Sparrow, but
Hawkins.
Yes, Hawkins. The Spanish main version of him with the crew elimination, in addition to the captain, meaning you could just ram and
that's a good one.
I mean, if you wanted, you could also add on. Maybe you could add on Joe card to either add a helmsman to that or see if there are any other useful abilities you could throw on. Yeah, I'm still grasping at straws. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't combine that with flotilla tug stuff. Yeah.
Actually, decent, actually.
Is it?
Kind of, yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wait, is this one my turn to read?
Yeah.
Okay, Pandora's Box. Wait, would you be allowed to use this with the unique treasure in the game?
Yeah, because they're not even same game pieces. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh God, what if you made a house rule that when you found that unique treasure, you brought this ship into the game for whoever found it?
Oh boy.
Okay, Pandora's Box is an English turtle ship. I think it's one of like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
4S gun, L move, 4 cargo space, 10 points. If it wins a boarding party, it can take as much treasure as it wants. Can you explain why you think this one's all right?
Because it's better than the other ones surrounding it in the set. Usually it's way better. The 4 cargo is solid for I don't know if any other turtle ships have 4 cargo. So I usually put a helmsman. I mean, I've hardly used it. I used it in CG1 just to run gold. Because helmsman, you got LS 3 cargo for 12 points. Not a great deal, even for the English. But and then you got that ability to take treasure. You're probably not going to win a boarding party, but at least you can choose when to board with turtle ship. So I mean, it's not great, but again, I mean, we've seen so many awful ships come through, and then this one's a little bit shinier, I guess. And of course, it's English too. Cool name. And then it's one of the few like purple ships in the game. I'm thinking like the Hudson, and then Prince of Chester or whatever. A couple others. So I think it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that I'd like to find a use for, but I'd rather use Bilge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too.
Which I also managed to find cheap on eBay at some point, so I had to. Crypt, I think, is yours.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, the Crypt is a cursed turtle ship, 1 mast, 11 points, 2 cargo, SS move, 2S cannon, and then crew massacre. So win a boarding party, eliminate all the other ship's crew. It just continues the theme here. It's like all these like little tiny ships have all these crazy boarding abilities. It just doesn't make sense.
And they kept on this theme in Mysterious Islands and Frozen North. They didn't figure it out that these were really terrible and that they should have printed more of them anyway because we want them.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, the crypt, it's nothing else. I don't know. I would never use it. Just that simple. But,
yeah. After that comes a sarcophagus, which is another 10 points. S move. Fear. That's why it's bad. I mean, 3 cargo and 3 L gun isn't so bad, but S move and fear for 10 points. It's a disaster. In fact, bury me in this ship. I'm ready to die.
Yeah, it's bad.
Put me in my sarcophagus.
Or feed you to the alligators, right?
Yeah, actually, yes, because the alligators is a much better ship for me to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. The alligator is another cursed turtle ship. 1 mast, 9 points, 2 cargo, L move, 4S cannon. This one is a fog hopper, so there's that gimmick. You could argue it's the worst fog hopper. The needle from Rise of the Fiends is pretty bad. The alligator is probably, I would say it's worse though. It's not a good ship at all. The fog hopping is nice, but that's it.
It really isn't good. I would use it either as a fog hopping gold runner because it doesn't need to be especially fast. Mm-hmm. Besides, it would be kind of cooperating with the needle to empty islands anyway. Mm-hmm. You could either do that or you could make it a warship by putting a captain and a musketeer on board.
Yeah.
I mean, the firepower still would be nothing to write home about, but it would be significantly improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Tarantula, don't bury me in this because I am an arachnophobe, is 8 points, 3 S gun, S move, 3 cargo, +1 to boarding rolls. Why?
Because they're obsessed with boarding bonuses on tiny ships.
Stop with these kids. Oh, wait, too late.
Yeah, there's nothing, I don't know. Yeah, the cargo's okay, but that's about it. Nothing else.
Yeah.
It's just too bad. So, oh well.
But you get to start on the...
Yeah, finally. Last ship in the set is the Guichuan. Second 10 master to be released. Alright, so 10 masts, it's cursed. It's an LE ship. 30 points, 7 cargo, S move. Cannons are, there's 2 3S's, and then there's 3 2L's, and then there's 5 3S's going bow to stern. The abilities are Ghost Ship, Junk, and Treasure Ship. So Treasure Ship means, in this case, it has to start the game with the Headhunter aboard, who's a 7-point crew. Man, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, Treasure Ship, the ship's crew do not take up cargo space on the ship, but their combined point costs may still not exceed the ship's point costs. And then the ship may move west after loading or unloading cargo, and then it links to the Headhunter, who has Fear and Headhunter's Domain, which is basically Admiral ability. So on a 6, you can give any ship in your fleet an extra action, and then also, if the ship wins a boarding party, you can either take all the treasure you want or kill all their crew. So a boatload of abilities, bare minimum cost of 37 points, but realistically 42 with Captain Helmsman. This one is pretty crazy. It is the slowest 10 master, so I kind of bash on it for that. I think it's almost like overrated a little bit because all the other 10 masters have pretty easy and cheap ways of improving their firepower. This one does not. It still does have the best average guns overall, and it's a decent ship, but you really need at least 80 points build total, and preferably much higher to really get the
because you wouldn't want it to be your only ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a 45-point game, it'll be too slow. So
yeah. As far as improving the firepower goes, you would need a world hater, but the thing is, the curse don't have a good one.
Exactly.
So you'd need to use Cavendish or what was it, Tabitha Quarren to go international. But once you do go international, you do have an excellent selection of crew you can start throwing on board the Guichuan, which is where she really does shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Although you do only have, at that point, 20 points to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Yeah. Oh, wait, no, really 18 because you need a helmsman.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets dicey in a hurry. Yeah. I know it's crazy. One thing about the Time Masters I've seen a lot when you make builds for them is how fast the point costs balloon. So you think like, oh, I could put so many crew on this ship, but it adds up quick, especially when you get, Davy Jones or Captain Nemo and
Yeah.
people like that aboard. So
Yeah. And with this, you do need extra actions, even if you just go for sat.
yeah.
Or if you just felt like doing a reroll for Headhunter's Domain, the Fleet Admiral ability, you're still spending another few points to get a little bit more speed out of it, and then you're sacrificing the loss of, or you're losing the chance to get some more cool abilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like in a big game like the Headhunter can roll for the rest of the fleet, and then maybe Phantasma from OE is like a SAC captain on this ship, but
Yeah.
'cause then and then the
or
horses
if
don't take up space, so then they could really go crazy with that.
Yeah, or if is it permissible to do that micron thing to speed this up? I mean, in theory, anyway.
Yeah, you could still do that. Yeah, mixed nationality. Yeah.
Yeah, that would give you a bit more freedom, and you wouldn't have to obsess over extra actions. But of course, that involves using the whole micron thing, which is kind of a dirty trick.
Yeah.
It's like we all know it's good, but we all don't really want to use it.
Yeah, like Banshees Cry. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's worth evaluating in the future whether Baochuan is maybe better than Guichuan because, like we talked about, and I think you did the math on this. How high can you pad Baochuan's cargo space?
Oh, I think it's 15 or 16. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I mean, you can still pick from Pirate Crew via Warlord Cavendish.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the other version of Cavendish, who belongs to the Jade.
Yeah.
And the Pirates do have the majority of the game's base abilities, and then a lot of really good unique abilities of their own. So I think there's maybe a case for Baochuan being better than Guichuan.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I still think the move matters too. S-move on a 10 master is pretty debilitating, so it's pretty rough going. Kind of a rough experience actually using Guichuan, I think, with S-move, but yeah, they're both pretty good ships at like the astronomical point totals. But yeah, any other thoughts on the set? I think we covered it pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're kind of I think we've done a pretty good job overall. Yeah. Do you have anything more to add on your? Oh wait. Okay, quick trivia. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm pretty sure everybody's aware this set had, I think, 2 production runs. The first of which, and they had 2 different pack art things. They both featured a squid kraken kind of thing.
Yeah.
Attacking a ship. One of them was kind of half out of the water. The other one wasn't.
Did you say kraken?
Yeah, okay, I'm sure it's pronounced Kraken because it's got... I've always said Kraken, though.
Oh, my God.
Laugh at me all you want.
No,
I'm so wrong.
It's from the movie, that's why I'm funny.
Yeah, Kraken, Kraken, Krivbekna, whatever. But yeah, they have 2 different kinds of pack art, and the reason is, I'm pretty sure... the original producer contracted to print the set had some crazy quality control problems, and like all the cards came out of the pack scuffed and dirty. Yeah.
There's actually some old threads on Miniature Trading talking about what people found in the packs. They found like stones and hair and like all sorts of stuff.
Hair?
Yeah, some people might have found like gum or something. I don't know. I can't remember. So
it's not a pack of baseball cards.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's really weird. So I'm glad they cleaned that up. I've been lucky. I've had mostly good cards from DJC, but the ones that aren't, you can tell almost immediately. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that all the LEs were printed by the original producer too, because I don't think I've ever seen one that wasn't scuffed.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't
have any think that's anecdotal.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's so interesting though.
Yeah. Right. In addition to that, at some point I'm going to compile a thing of every. My brother won't shut up, and I hope nobody can hear that because he's kind of shouting at Xbox. But yeah, you guys can definitely hear that. I'm sorry. But one of these days, I'm going to compile like a framed collection of every variation on pack art in the game.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I might need some help with that though, because I don't have like good condition old packs of everything or anything really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I keep all my packs too, so yeah, I can see how that would work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, and I think we might expand on some of these topics later on, like copying and even Pandora's box and stuff like that. We'll probably discuss later on. So yeah. All right. But yeah, this was episode 14 of the podcast, the Davy Jones set review, and we thank you for listening.